6:04, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for a busy Wednesday show all over the map today. Yeah, we'll be inside the special session on tax reform. We'll also be talking a lot of broadband. We got Congressman Graves coming up later on. We got Attorney Franz Borgardt in the house for some legally served. We'll ask Franz going on this morning. Open things up to your questions, your legal questions for Franz. That's coming up at 6:25. If you want to go ahead and post them up on the Facebook Live feed, you can do that right now as we get off and running. We're starting you off at 57 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to get the show underway. So let's get the show underway. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
A Baton Rouge man was arrested yesterday on multiple charges following 2 search warrants that were executed by East Baton Rouge deputies. According to the sheriff's office, Rodney Luck Johnson, 47 years old, was arrested after searching his residence at 9518 Meadowdale Drive and business over on Plank Road. Johnson was arrested and booked for distribution of Schedule II drugs and possession with intent to distribute, here we go, marijuana, synthetic cannabinoids, fentanyl, crystal methamphetamine, and cocaine. He was also charged with possession of a firearm by a felon and operation of a clandestine lab.
Number 4.
More than 30 years worth of championship rings belonging to D.D. Bro were reported missing from an athletic office on campus on Friday. According to the LSU PD report, a display box containing approximately 40 rings was missing on November 14th. The report, filed the following morning, said the box was seen a week earlier in the office. LSU PD is investigating, and they are working on putting together more information on this story.
Number 3.
Battling flames and putting others first is a major part of the job for firefighters, but alongside that, there's a quieter, potentially deadly challenge. Now, firefighters have access to advanced technology for efficient cancer screening, and this week, that's what's going on right here in Baton Rouge. This week, Baton Rouge firefighters are taking their turn to be screened for esophageal cancer. Jake Morgan, president of the Baton Rouge Firefighter Association, emphasized that these screenings are crucial for firefighters as they do face higher risks for this in their daily line of duty.
Number 2.
Both candidates in the runoff election for mayor president for East Baton Rouge have agreed to take part in a televised debate. That's going to be on WAFB on Tuesday evening. That'll start at 6 p.m. Before that, both candidates will be at the Baton Rouge Press Club. That'll be on Monday.
Number 1.
Governor Jeff Landry wants to see a little more trimming done on the state budget, actually throughout state government. The governor has sent a letter to the Louisiana Senate President and Speaker of the House regarding a fiscal responsibility program to reduce the cost of government. The letter states that the state budget ballooned over the last 10 years while Louisiana's population shrunk. Landry referenced an executive order that he issued when he first became governor that directed department heads to reduce costs and improve efficiencies. According to Landry, their first budget called for a $3.3 billion reduction in spending from the previous budget. State realized a final reduction of around $2 billion. He wants to start working from there. What's trending there, John?
Well, a couple different things, Brian. If you thought Matt Gaetz and Robert Kennedy Jr. were controversial cabinets, buckle up.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has named Linda McMahon as his pick to head up the Department of Education.
Gotta love it. He's just.
This is
he throwing darts blindly at this
right?
point?
This is really fascinating.
Really
fascinating choice.
I'm a little stunned at this one because I honestly thought our own education secretary had a shot at this one. We thought Garret Graves had a shot at transportation. He did not get that. We'll talk with Garret. Congressman Graves coming up at 7:35. We thought Congressman Graves had a shot at that. He didn't get it. I thought Cade Brumley could have been in the mix here.
Absolutely.
So, but no, Linda McMahon. Why not?
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. And while talking education, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, appoints of President-elect Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, gave their approval to a proposal that abolishes the Department of Education.
This is okay. I actually like this take better than the last take.
Yeah.
The U.S. Department of Education started in 1979, and education has gotten progressively worse, inarguably worse since then. And it's a discussion that needs to be had. I don't know if I'm ready to pull the trigger on it, but it's a discussion that needs to be had.
Yeah. And keeping it with the incoming Trump administration, the president-elect has tapped, drumroll please, Dr. Oz to head up the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
Awesome.
This is just a full-blown celebrity panel
good.
going.
Yeah.
His cabinet
you bring
picks
in
up.
Linda McMahon from the WWE.
That's it.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Linda has a little bit of past experience as an executive. So it's not as if he said Stephanie McMahon.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but this normally you want somebody who's been,
Like in education.
yeah. You want that. See, there's a Venn diagram here of executive and education. I don't necessarily. It doesn't have to be like necessarily teacher. You have to. We need somebody who's on the front lines of the classroom. Not necessarily that, but
someone with experience.
Yeah,
More experience.
Right.
Let's just say more experience.
Right. With, I mean, look, you could draw.
To the victor comes the spoils.
You could draw a lot of comparisons between a modern day classroom and a Royal Rumble. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Brother.
That was a joke. Who I think that was Jon Stewart said that. Hulk Hogan has not been named to a cabinet position yet.
Amazing.
Coming up on 611 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hey, we got a break coming up. Then we're going to talk sports after that break. Before you get to that break, got to remind you about the folks over at Parish Construction and Roofing. I could not be a happier camper. I got to tell you, the job that was done on my home by Parish Construction and Roofing, it was phenomenal. They're still wrapping it up. Got to get the final, we had a little more work done than just the roof. Our dormers needed updating. And everything about this looks fantastic. From the work on the shingles to the look of the shingles to the look of the way the property is after they were done, everything about this has been fantastic. They're still wrapping it up with a little bit of work on the dormers, but man, it just the before and after is beyond compare. And oh, by the way, when you do business with someone you know, which is what they like to tell you over at Parish Construction and Roofing, do business with someone you know. When you do business with someone you know, you're guided through the process the entire way. I've been on the phone with Zach repeatedly throughout the last couple of days, letting me know, hey, this is what's going on right now. Oh, they were working on it. They started on the roof on Monday, and things had to be pushed back a little bit because that afternoon storm, just gully washer in the afternoon that we thought was going to be a light shower. Yeah, not a problem. The way they were able to shift on the fly and walk me through what was happening as it was happening was awesome. ParishBuilt.com is the website, parishbuilt.com, or give them a call, 364-1007. Do business with someone you know with Parish Construction and Roofing.
Dude, I would have been a great I would have been a fantastic AG. I would have been a fantastic federal AG.
Yeah, we got Matt Gates. I don't think he's going to get confirmed.
I mean, anything new and exciting, fellas?
What do you mean?
Anything new and exciting? I was talking to your associate about his Thanksgiving plans. Dual household Thanksgiving, one for her family, one for his family.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those days.
Just hard to get.
You just get to the point where you're like, "Hey guys, we're doing it at our house, our house."
Yeah, we got family spread out all over from like home at a Metairie and then Baton Rouge.
Okay, so the mics are hot, but let me ask, who makes the best food?
My wife, of course.
Right. I mean, right.
What are you talking about? It's their question.
I feel like that competition has divisions because there's the person that can cook the best turkey or meat,
absolutely.
and then there's the individual that can do side dishes.
Yeah.
Both are very important. And then there's the dessert category. I mean, a good green bean casserole, I don't care if it's Campbell's soup recipe or not, a good green bean casserole going head-to-head with like a mac and cheese that's been in your family for a decade or two.
So good.
Beautiful.
Yep. We'll say this, though. My brother-in-law's, man. My brother-in-law, he has the fried turkey just down. I mean, he just...
I gotta tell you, fried turkey really is becoming my...
Man.
Like, I like smoked. I like it other ways, but like, fried turkey is kind of hard to beat. Sous vide. Sous vide turkey.
That's a big old pot and a big old bag, the sous vide turkey. I wouldn't hate on that, though, because you want to talk about retaining all the juices.
How would you have felt if he would have said Alice Cooper?
Alice Cooper for what?
Education.
School's out for
About the
summer,
same.
baby.
About the same. How was your bus ride?
Pretty great.
Talk about it, but I mean,
Well, it was great. Talked with Brian Fontenot, basically the whole way down there.
I love Brian. He's a good guy. I'm glad he got on the bus. Yancey was the other one I was trying to get on the bus.
Yancey was supposed to go on 8.
I mean,
And he had something happen, like, last minute.
Yep. I'm familiar with that concept. It happens. I mean, So here's the question of the morning. It's not law related. What is the game on your phone that you spend more time playing than any other game?
I have no games.
You have no, dude. God bless you.
None.
Wordle.
Wordle. I know you play Wordle.
Wordle and Connections, and then I'm done.
I've got this little alien game where I eat things, like people.
Okay.
Well, on my iPad, I do have like a Marvel game.
It's like an alien invasion thing where my alien gets bigger the more it eats, and yeah, whatever.
I mean, I guess the honest answer is DraftKings. .616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is sports time, so let's dive right in. Talk a little LSU football, and shout out to our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network for listening to Paul Feinbaum, so we don't have to. LSU head coach Brian Kelly is facing a lot of scrutiny after this disappointing stretch in what was once a very highly anticipated season. The Tigers were 6-1 and are now 6-4. Oh, what a different world that is. The SEC Network's Paul Feinbaum talks about a lot of the same concerns that you and I have as just regular fans.
I think anyone who would offer an opinion other than great disappointment and really, if not shock this year, would be telling a story that isn't true. I am fairly shocked at what I'm seeing.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we all are. Because you 6-1 going to 6-4. The problem here is that you're in this ridiculous conference. The Southeastern Conference is just ridiculous. I mean, go look at the top 10 right now, and you're going to find a handful of Big Ten teams that front load the top 10 because they really haven't played each other or haven't played anybody of any significance. Indiana, I believe, has only played one top 25 team thus far. That's going to change this weekend when they've got Ohio State. But in the SEC, everyone's got 2 losses because everybody beats you. Just about everybody has 2 losses because everybody beats each other up. The Tigers, I mean, rewind the clock back to 2021 when Brian Kelly was hired, and he was coming off of a playoff appearance with Notre Dame. So there's been a lot of anticipation where everything's bubbling up towards this year.
I do think it was the right decision. At the moment it was made. But hiring the right coach is very difficult. I mean, Billy Napier was hired around the same time. He's done absolutely nothing at Florida. Brian Kelly has at least shown a pulse in Baton Rouge.
Napier's on the hot seat now to get fired. I mean, he not there yet, obviously, after pulling down that win last Saturday against LSU. By the way, Florida will be hosting number 9 in the country, Ole Miss, this weekend. So they're still not bowl eligible. Whereas we are. Not that bowls mean anything anymore, but you have the notches on the column, right? You have the notches in the win column. Feinbaum says Kelly won him and many others over after bouncing back from a 4-8 season at Notre Dame back in 2016. Went on to 5 straight double-digit win seasons. That's not in the cards for this year. Feinbaum does not expect talk about hot seats like you see with Napier. That's not the case here.
I think he is in a crisis situation right now in Baton Rouge. This thing has gotten away from him so quickly. And, you know, he is very skilled at answering questions, as you all know, and I know. But that's not really what's going to determine Brian Kelly's future.
Kickoff is 6:55 Saturday against Vandy. Here's the Fox Business Report. You have Court TV this morning?
I do not.
Fantastic.
Just you guys.
Fantastic.
Just you guys. Then I'm going to prison.
Good morning, Christy.
You know, I spoke at your daughter's class last week.
Yes. How was that?
14 students. They were actually very engaged. They asked some good questions. It was refreshing because I'm an adjunct at the LSU Law School, and I teach 40-something students. And the 14 high schoolers seem to be truly more interested in what I was talking about than some of my other ones. So,
yeah, I would assume your college students are just looking to get their degree.
bro, I'm just here to take my exam.
Here to pass, that's all. Yeah.
I had never been on SJA's campus before.
Really?
Well, so
Didn't you go to Catholic High?
I went to Catholic. Yes, I went to an all-boys school, Catholic High, which was up the street. I just never went to SJA. We didn't have class. So
They have interchanging classes.
They have
too.
interchanging classes. I just didn't have any where I went to the academy.
Yeah, like Catholic and SJA are closer together than St. Paul's and SSA, and yeah, we were on each other's campuses all the time. That was not an unusual thing. Try the Strands and the Letterboxd games. It already with the 2 games that I play, that's already eating almost like 15 minutes out of my day.
Is a virtual betting and or fantasy football game a game?
So I think
Like a league?
Yeah.
Like I guess a fantasy football league would be a game.
yes.
How much time are you spending on that, though?
Betting on DraftKings, probably 5-10 minutes a day, if
Okay.
that.
Okay.
If that. The fantasy football is a little bit more because you got to read articles on people like who's healthy, who's got good matchups, that sort of stuff. So fantasy football, 2 to 3 hours a week.
Byron wants to know, do I have a legal recourse against a woman that was beating on my door all night? I suppose I could have just let her out. No, Byron.
Yeah. But
Love is very complicated. It's very complicated. It's, yeah.
oh hell no. All right, let's go ahead and take you back to the Shawbells Tire Traffic Center real quick. Looking better on our interstates this morning than we were yesterday morning. Going to find some light volume on 12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. Actually, if you're back by the Denham Springs, the Range Avenue exit, that volume's about normal. A little bit in the red, not a whole lot. It clears back up as you're making your way into Baton Rouge. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension. Clean and green over there. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish. We're looking pretty great as well. And 110 is looking good, too. Moving over to your surface streets. Oh, and both bridges are looking good. Moving over to your surface streets, we got. I'm refreshing the board right now. There we go. We've got only one surface street accident to report on right now. It's Plank at Montesano. It was from about half an hour ago, so it might be in the clearing stages right now. Actually, yeah, the BRPD says it's off the roadway. They've left this up on the board, but it's not causing any delays. From over an hour ago, there was a crash on 110 northbound at Florida, or by Capitol Access, excuse me. So that might still be out there, but like I said, it's from over an hour ago, and I'm not showing any delays from it, so they just might have forgotten to take it off the board. But since it's up there, I figured I'd share. That's really good traffic from the Shop Bills Tire Traffic Center. .625 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Two quick sports notes that I did not have time to squeeze in there. Number one, Kim Mulkey's Tigers are back at it tonight. The 7th-ranked LSU Tigers host Tulane tonight at 7 p.m. You're not only going to want to watch that one, or you're not going if you're going to the game, be on the lookout for Our Lady of Mercy's 6th grade team at halftime. On top of that, though, they're going to have a college game wrapped around it. So LSU and Tulane tonight at 7. You'll hear it right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Coming up Monday, LSU will be taking on Washington in the Bahamas. 12:30 tip-off for that one. You can hear the Tigers all season long on your home for LSU women's basketball. Talk 107.3 FM. While we got one more sports note to get in there, let's do that. Week 12 in the NFL starts Thursday night. Cleveland Browns host the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be a 7:15 kickoff. Monday Night Football wraps up Week 12. You'll got the Chargers hosting the Ravens. Your home for Monday and Thursday Night Football is right here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right. Franz is in the house. It's time for Legally Served. Let's go. What's happening, Franz? How are you this morning?
You know, our intro has a soundbite from Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men.
Yes.
I know the law.
Yes. Yeah, don't tell me what I know and don't know. I know the law.
Right.
Yeah.
And mostly what I'm here for is to talk about criminal law, criminal justice law.
Yes.
And I often tell people when I get asked questions about eviction or like weird abstract areas of law that I have not even looked at for 20 years, I often tell people you're asking a neurologist a foot question, with the inference being that I'm a neurologist, not a foot doctor. Nothing, there's anything wrong with a foot doctor. So today I thought we would change it up a little bit.
Okay.
And let the viewers, the listeners, send in some questions. And if that bombs, we can go a different direction.
Well, we do have a stack of topics to talk about, but we'll do a little Ask Franz.
Right.
You have whatever legal questions you've got. We're up on Facebook Live. Post them in the comments section there. We can definitely do that and just open things up. Legal questions, post them up over on Facebook.
So the number one question I get while we're waiting for a question to come in, the number one question I get is, how do you represent people that you know did it, that are guilty?
Yeah.
How do you sleep at night? Well, first of all, if I'm well paid, I sleep just fine. I have a wonderful pillow from BR Mattress. It's one of these, you know the ones I'm talking about? It's
bamboo?
The bamboo pillow. Oh, it's guilty clients paying for my bamboo pillows, Egyptian cotton sheets.
By the way, I got to get over there because I think they got their Black Friday sale coming up.
Shout out to BR Mattress. See what I did there? Yep. Point is, joking aside, actually representing guilty people is actually easier than representing people I think are innocent.
Making sure that rapists and murderers can be on the street to rape and murder again is easier?
False way of framing it.
Oh, no.
Sure,
you know they're guilty, so they are. Making
sure someone gets their constitutional rights making sure someone has someone fighting for them to ensure those constitutional rights.
You run afoul of the idea that the Constitution is more important than the truth.
But the Constitution doesn't say only innocent people get a shake.
No, I understand. Everybody deserves their day in court.
Right,
but
right.
what I'm saying, and I agree with this completely, but what I'm saying is the Constitution trumps the truth, which means justice falls to the wayside.
Well, yes, that is to some degree, yes, true. The other interesting piece is representing innocent people is actually harder. Because if I mess up or if I lose,
yeah,
somebody goes to jail.
Yeah.
That's not justice.
No, and that takes more than a bamboo pillow to put you to sleep.
I mean, they pay for the bamboo pillows too. Dude, I would get one of those if you're going to get a mattress. By the way, if you're going to get a mattress, get one of those remote control situations where you're like part of your bed can lift up, part of your other bed can lift up. They sell that too.
All right, we'll continue with this ad for Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet right after the news, traffic, and weather on Talk 107.3.
The most expensive item in my house, minus an AC unit, is my mattress.
Mitch has been promising me the bamboo pillow for like 2 years now.
The bamboo pillow is a
Really
game changer. You got to get the one with the shoulder arch. It's like a dip in it where you can like put your shoulder in it and like, dude, these pillows, you can't even when you go when you travel, if you don't have your pillow, it's like I'm not even going to sleep on this trip. So yeah, no questions on the app yet. I'm sure you've gotten text some questions.
No.
Oh, Byron asked, what do TV and movies get wrong the most in legal dramas?
That's a good question. Good job.
Generally, everybody in the law firm, I mean, it's not the 80s anymore, so not everybody in the law firm is having sex with each other. Generally, you're not having sex with the judge. It's not the 80s anymore again. It's not like the old days where you could just have sex with your secretary, and when that relationship was over, she knew to just keep her mouth shut and keep working. That was the 80s. The 2024 is totally different model. You can't just gratuitously have sex with employees anymore.
I don't think that's where the question was going.
He asked me what's different between TV and movies. The other thing is TVs try to solve everything. Oftentimes there is no resolution of having solved something, right? We don't often, I mean, yeah, sometimes we have the crime on video and we have an eyewitness and a confession.
Example, my cousin Vinny sends the sheriff out to find the real car.
Right.
That's the
There ain't no way that sheriff's going to do that.
No.
On a hunch. There's not a lot of Madlock or Perry Mason moments.
Right.
Like everybody kind of knows how it's going to play out.
Perry Mason moment.
Yeah. I've had one or two in my career, but that doesn't happen often. Generally, I'm asking questions I already know the answers to. What else? In a TV show, everybody's generally attractive. That's not real life. That's not real life. Think about best law movie. We've had this conversation before. Best law movie.
We can have that conversation. Let's do that.
I do like a few. A lot of my favorite law movies have Tom Cruise in them. I do like A Few Good Men. I do like The Firm.
When you look over there, the microphone goes away.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just letting you know.
I'll just hold it.
Well, no, I'm just saying if you're looking at John,
because
you're nowhere near the.
Yeah. And it's not. I never corrected you on it, but I just kind of adjust accordingly. I see when you look at me, if you notice, my hand just immediately goes there.
Jeremy wants to know if there's Columbo moments, changing the subject.
Columbo was a detective.
He was a detective that had a lazy eye. Glass eye, lazy eye. Which was it? Was it a lazy eye or a glass? I think it was a glass eye. So what is your favorite law movie?
Man, that's okay. It's tough. That's tough because it's the go-to answer is going to be A Few Good Men, but I don't think that's the right answer.
I mean, I don't know if it's the best. It's a good draw. I mean, there's comedy ones. There's drama ones. 80s True Believer, Robert Downey Jr. and what's his name?
I don't.
Wait, which one?
True Believer.
I don't know that I've seen that one.
Oh, another good Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if it's more
The Judge.
The Judge.
Yeah.
With Robert Duvall. Yeah, you know where I was going. The movie's so good.
Mm-hmm. Robert Duvall was also in Civil Action. He played a Boston big firm attorney.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that, though. The Judge. Man. So good.
I have difficulty watching CSI because I know how crime labs really work.
Yeah.
No offense to my crime lab people out there.
Well, what about watching Suits?
I don't really watch it.
Suits is amazing.
How many people on the show are having sex with each other?
All
Everybody?
of them.
All of them. Again, you know what show I liked?
What?
It was the one with Rob Lowe, The Grinder. It didn't make it, but it was a comedy law show. It had Fred Savage in it.
Okay. Fred Savage and Rob Lowe, and it was called The Grinder.
Yeah.
Named after the app, I assume?
No.
Okay. Bro, no love for that joke? Are you kidding me?
Have I ever been in a runaway jury scenario?
So runaway jury would be in my top 10.
Is that where they had the
That's John Cusack, John Cusack and Rain Man in It's a Set New Orleans.
Yeah, where they're suing over the
The
firearms.
guns? Yeah.
I've used jury consulting. I've done jury consulting.
Good morning, Christy. What about Miracle on 34th Street? The lawyer proved that Santa Claus was real. How about that? How about that, Franz?
I live in real life.
How about you
not
put
fiction?
All the movies are fiction, Franz, except for the Trial of Chicago 7. Someone's lighting their fireplace tonight. I'm calling it right now. Someone is lighting their fireplace tonight. Here with your full forecast, I'm McCade Cowan.
Bayou Gal wants to know, how do you sleep all night? I actually got up at 3 o'clock this morning and watched a Jason Statham movie called Crank. Yeah. Oh, it's great. Because it was the one I landed on.
It's about a dude's unit.
No, it's actually about his heart. But he gets poisoned by a Chinese poison.
Where he has to get his adrenaline up.
Yeah.
No matter the cost.
Okay. 637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We got attorney Franz Borgardt in for Legally Served. Taking your questions, a little Ask Franz this morning. We get some topics in the background, but I want to pause on those to get to some of these questions. Byron asks, what do TV and movies generally get wrong when it comes to the courtroom?
Okay. So, one, TV makes it look like law firms have an unlimited supply of money and resources, which is not true.
Right.
Same with law enforcement. They don't have an unlimited supply of
Right.
Nobody on TV is lazy, like in real life. Like everything's fixed and addressed in an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Like Law and Order is hard for me to watch because it puts a bow on it every time.
But like a movie, let's choose A Few Good Men here, because I think anybody ranking their top
Right.
10 of what goes on in a courtroom, A Few Good Men, if you're ranking the movies, which we can do later on, by the way.
Right.
But what the background, the research, trips to Cuba,
So the strategizing in A Few Good Men is accurate because you will do that during the pretrial.
okay,
There is
witness prep.
Witness prep. Tom Cruise gets frustrated at Demi Moore at one point. It's what you can prove, right?
Right.
It's the same line in Training Day, which is not a law show, but doesn't involve law enforcement. It's not about what you know; it's about what you can prove, right? Those are accurate things.
Mm-hmm.
Better Call Saul hits close to home sometimes.
Really?
I never represented a meth cartel, but I'm just saying, like, if you watch a Better Call Saul, like the beginning when he's trying to do the right thing and he's like struggling through, been there, done that. I never rented a law office space in a nail salon, although I thought about it after watching Better Call Saul. Clients on TV shows and movies are generally either all good or all bad. There's no middle ground. Right. And in real life, there's middle ground.
Well, in real life, more often than not, it's somebody who was plugging along with life and then just screwed up.
Right. The fantasy that all my so you referenced it earlier. I do represent some people accused of some horrible crimes, murders, rapes. But the reality is more often than not, I represent young people that do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That isn't rape, isn't murder.
All right, understood.
And I'm just holding their hands through the justice system. I'm like a guide. I'm like a tour guide. We're in a foreign country. They don't speak the language. I do. I'm here to make sure you see St. Peter's, Basilica. I'm here to make sure you get in okay. A tour guide. I
understand.
I could have gone anywhere with that.
Yeah, it could have been Manhattan. It could have been Hollywood. You went to the Vatican. I like it. I do like it. There's a scene in Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Where somebody had robbed a convenience store.
Right.
And the witness is on the stand. The witness is the owner of the convenience store, the one who's working at the convenience store. And Saul, who's not yet Saul, he's still Jimmy McGill at the time, is, asking him a series of questions, asking him eventually to identify the person who the witness thought committed the crime. And the witness identifies the defendant or the person sitting in the defendant's chair.
But it's not really that person.
And then Jimmy McGill, a.k.a. Saul, reveals that the person sitting at the defendant's chair is not the defendant. The defendant's actually in the back of the courtroom and does this like bait and switch sort of thing. Has that ever happened?
I've never had that happen. I have had the witness look at my client, and this is back in my public defender days, and say, I thought it was your client, but now I'm on the stand and we're in trial. I'm not sure. I've had that happen.
Wow.
Wow. I've never had hey, I have somebody that looks like Brian sit at the everybody assumes, like all the cops, the cops don't remember what your client looks like by the time this goes to trial. It's been like a year. They're just making the assumption that the person sitting next to you is, in fact, the person they arrested.
Right.
But no, that doesn't happen. That kind of stuff doesn't happen, unfortunately.
Life would be a lot more exciting if it did.
Everybody likes to think that my job is like Suits or like, really sexy, lots of money, lots of sex. That's not the reality. It's a lot of my job is a well-orchestrated, choreographed dance.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the prosecutor. Hey, you're going to do this. I'm going to do this. You're going to do this. I'm going to do this. Hey, judge. And we just keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
A large part of what I do is I'm moving cattle from one field to another so that it can graze. That's not a bad analogy. I mean, that's an okay analogy. But yeah. The did you order the code red moments are few and far between. Now it happens.
Right.
It happens. Shoot, I was in a murder hearing a couple of weeks ago where the district attorney, I'm not going to name you the parish, the district attorney was like, I don't know who this Franz person is, and I don't know what he's about, and I blurred out on the record, you're about to find out. Well, that doesn't happen often, right? It was a defining moment.
Follow-up question on that same note, talking about TV and movies. Have you ever stolen something from a TV show?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So I used to really like Boston Legal. And
love Boston Legal. They got way too political.
Yeah, but James Spader, his character, who I cannot think of the character's name in the
Alan Shore.
Alan Shore was a lawyer. I'm just being vulnerable and honest with you. I wanted to be Alan Shore.
Really?
By the way, he slept with everybody.
Well, I wanted to be Denny Crane.
Denny Crane would have been. I used to smoke. In fact, there was a couple of us that would smoke cigars after we would try cases just because of Boston Legal.
Denny Crane.
Denny Crane. There were some phrases. There are some phrases. I mean, you hear. Look. We are one of those professions where I can steal things from other people, and it's not plagiarism. It's flattery. Now, I will say, people ask me this. Have we used AI? We
Oh.
are using AI on a daily basis. If you're a lawyer, you're using,
Really?
Chat
How
GPT.
so? Oh, okay.
Chat GPT. Hey, give me a couple paragraphs on this legal issue, and it's a starting point.
Uh-huh.
Now, I will not submit AI, Chat GPT, or whatever as a memo, but it's a starting point, right?
Right.
Or, hey, give me a closing argument on whatever. So the hardest part about my job from the trial standpoint is not the actual trial itself. It's looking at a situation and coming up with a theory of innocence in the face of overwhelming guilt sometimes. Because I can't, we've said this before, or we've talked about this before, I can't just stand up and say, that thing the state prosecutor just said, it's really good, and then sit down. I can't just do that. I got to put on some kind of a show.
Yeah.
So coming up with a theory of innocence is sometimes very, very difficult. But I've absolutely stolen like mannerisms and all that kind of stuff until I found out kind of what worked for me. But yeah, Alan Shore, Boston Legal. Now I did not care for the practice as much, which was Boston Legal was a
spinoff of the
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. So
The practice was boring.
Boston Legal was not boring.
No. And, like, let's be honest, the practice was boring. And that's kind of the thing about like a courtroom show is you run that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've only got a minute till break. I do want to answer or field that question about what's your favorite courtroom movie, or legal movie. On the back end of the break.
Sure.
Let's get to break first. We got a break. We'll check traffic. We'll check your money now. Hey, before we take that break, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. They're taking your orders right now. If you want to lighten your load for this holiday season, whether we're talking about the full Thanksgiving spread, whether you got a Christmas party, a holiday party, Christmas dinner itself, Mathern's has got you covered. Check out Mathern's.com. Mathern's.com. Hop on there. They've got their catering menus up. Knock out a couple of sides. I mean, just make it a little bit easier on yourself, or knock out the full spread. Oh, by the way, you know how I tell you all the time about the Mathern's app, and if you download the Mathern's app, you get to take advantage of the deals of the week every week? Well, this week, 50% off of a frozen turkey. Yeah, frozen turkeys are 50% off at Mathern's right now, and if you're using the app, you're getting cash towards more groceries every time you shop. It's 50% off your Food Club or HSW brand 8 to 16-pound frozen turkeys. When you knock out your Thanksgiving shopping, spend $100 or more to knock out your Thanksgiving shopping, and you get that 50% off the frozen turkey at Mathern's now. Boy, that was kind of a bait and switch.
So I do get asked.
Huh?
I do get asked, does being on radio and TV help my practice? And the answer is surprisingly yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I get referrals and clients I don't think I would have gotten. No, in the sense that some prosecutors and judges are annoyed that I'm on radio and TV, or more to the point, are annoyed at what I might say about legal issues on radio or TV. And I sometimes get treated a certain way because of it, but not often. Wayne likes my cousin Vinny. I do like my cousin Vinny.
Yeah, same.
How can you be so sure? Cheryl wants to know, are PCRs, post-conviction relief cases, difficult to navigate and succeed? Yes, they can be. You have to find some kind of ineffective assistance of counsel, something a lawyer messed up, or the court messed up, or the prosecutor messed up. Have you represented any PCR cases? Honestly, that's not really my focal point in criminal law. I don't do a lot of PCR cases, and I don't, at this point, I don't want people to have to spend more money on me learning how to do something new.
Let's talk about that one coming back in.
Yeah. I mean, if you murder somebody, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. That's paying for the BR mattress.
BR mattress is kind of expensive, y'all. It can be if you want the highest of the high end, but Christy and I's mattress was under $1,000. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I don't. It's like for me. Now you're right. They have great mattresses, great deals, great bargains. Black Friday's coming up. I don't skimp on mattresses.
No, neither.
It's like a tattoo.
Neither,
I don't
have it. Mine's not adjustable either.
Mine's not adjustable. I had to get a device that adjusts it. But by the way, once you have the adjustable device, it is like zero gravity. It's like you're sitting in a swimming pool float. Have you ever just fallen asleep floating?
Over at what's the name of that place? Oh, holy hell!
Where you would soak in the water?
Yeah,
Float.
You're not in the water, but it's like this massaging water underneath you. Oh damn!
Float.
I want to say they closed. It was over by Town Center,
Mm-hmm.
on the Maxwell's Market side.
Mm-hmm. It was the float place.
What was the name of that?
They had
No. They had the cryo chamber.
yes.
They had.
Yes.
I mean, they had. It was so good.
I will say I don't like
Hang
it.
on. We're a full minute over again. Oh no, go ahead. I thought that was the beginning of the traffic report. I didn't realize that was the end.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
All right.
only a couple seconds. Nothing like it was.
Yeah, yesterday's got me paranoid now. Sorry, you.
I don't like it when people find out that I'm a criminal defense attorney, like at cocktail parties or whatever, because then I get like the, hey, my cousin is in jail for X, or I get the, what's it like?
Free
What?
Pookie?
What's it like representing people you know are guilty? And that's when I do the whole. I love it. I love representing guilty people. It's like
Yeah, I'm
big
not-
game hunting.
I don't think anybody likes the idea of having to be on all the time. Like as far like
Well, it's like somebody coming up to you in a grocery store talking about your radio show.
yes.
I've told you about the time that person came up to me in the grocery store at Calandro's and said that I had some pretty strong feelings about Jeff Landry as an attorney general and asked if I thought I could do a better job than Jeff Landry. And I said, well, actually, ma'am, I do think I can do a better job than attorney general. And I said, but I thank you for listening. But I don't take myself seriously.
No, and that's the hard part is when like I don't take myself seriously, but I take my show very seriously.
Okay.
And the hard part is having people understand the difference between the two.
So the hardest part of my job is the awareness that I have become desensitized to certain things that I didn't used to be desensitized to. So, like, when you go to a crime scene and you smell the smell of a dead body that has been there for a minute, and you're like the rookie prosecutor on the crime scene and you're about to chuck, and then next time you've been to enough crime scenes to where you're like, oh, that's just another dead body.
You're like eating a sandwich while you're
Right,
there.
where you're like,
Yeah.
like it takes a lot now to get like, and I don't, honestly, that like troubles me because like,
652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got about 7.5 minutes left with attorney Franz Borgardt for our Legally Served segment. Taking your questions, a little Ask Franz this morning. Want to know anything about the legal world? Got any legal questions for him? Post them up on our Facebook live feed. Question going into the break, Franz, which you addressed during the break, but I'd rather for the full audience as well, about PCRs.
post-conviction relief. So I do generally criminal law and things related to criminal law, but there are special areas of criminal law like appeals or post-conviction relief. Post-conviction relief normally comes after the appeal. And
Okay.
that is like the last bastion of, hey, your lawyer messed up, the judge messed up, or the prosecutor messed up, and they were ineffective in some respect, and you get another bite at the apple because of that. Or,
Okay.
hey, we've discovered some DNA exonerating evidence. I don't do a lot of that, and it's very hard to win. The Innocence Project that works on DNA exoneration, those are entities that do that kind of work.
Right.
I do mostly trial level, like you're accused of a crime, they're trying to prosecute you for a crime, and once you hire me, you're innocent in a way that no one's ever been innocent before. Once you hire me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of criminal defense attorneys, by the way. There's a lot of us.
No, I know.
There's a lot of us.
I know.
I mean, different makes and models, but
What was there was a statistic about a decade ago. I don't know if it still holds up, but there were more people in law school than there were actual lawyers.
yeah, there's a lot of people in law school.
Yeah. I just that number multiplies.
Well, and criminal law is one of those areas where the perception is not as prestigious as, say, big firm, white glove law firms.
I'm gonna push back on that because we were gonna get to the.
I love what I do.
Well, I understand that.
I do's what I like, and I likes what I do's.
We were gonna get to the question of what's your favorite courtroom movie,
Right.
and I have a very underrated one. Because there's a top 3 for me. 2 of them have Tom Cruise in them. But there's a top 3 for me. What's your favorite one?
My favorite movie?
Yes.
There's a movie from the 80s called True Believer that I like a lot. Robert Downey Jr. is in it. James Wood is in it as well, has a ponytail. I do like Rainmaker.
Rainmaker.
Right. We're going to get you a ton of money.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something about Rainmaker and fighting Goliath that I like. Honestly, though, and there's no way of saying this without being somewhat narcissistic, which I know is not going to shock anybody. People forget that, like, the area of law that I do, they make movies off of the cases like that I handle.
Well, yeah, because if it bleeds, it leads. If you're a criminal defense attorney,
I mean,
yeah.
We've talked about cases that have been on Netflix documentaries.
Okay.
So from a dramatization standpoint,
yeah,
I like law comedy. I like law comedy that's so ridiculous but yes, best show though, we talked about it, Boston Legal, hands down.
All right, now as far as movies are concerned, and my top 3 are going to be, of course, A Few Good Men.
Okay, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great courtroom scene, great background, written by Aaron Sorkin. Can't go wrong there. The Firm.
Do you like The Firm?
There's not a whole lot in a courtroom in The Firm, is there?
No, there's Bahamas.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's sex on the
among
beach.
other things. Yeah, among other things. But and this is where I was going to go back to why I think the criminal defense attorney is not viewed as poorly as you think. Primal Fear.
I like Primal Fear. Civil Action with John Travolta is a good example of what can happen.
I don't know that I've seen that one.
It's a class action case where there's a plant that contaminates some water and everybody gets sick, but he's chasing waterfalls, so to speak.
It's like an Aaron Brockovich sort of thing.
Kind of, but a little different. But he's chasing waterfalls, and by that I mean the TLC song.
Yes, I know.
By that I mean it's an example of what happens where you can have a righteous cause and things can go terribly bad. And unfortunately, money drives a lot of our fights. Like the ability to litigate, like the ability, especially in civil, Now, look, there's also stereotypes in movies. Insurance companies are always painted evil.
Yeah.
People who defend insurance companies are always painted as evil. Personal injury attorneys are sleazy. But, whatever.
Aside from how do you sleep at night, what's the biggest question you get at, like, say, cocktail parties?
What's it? How do you represent people you know are guilty? That's the other one.
Well, yeah, that was the how do you sleep at night question.
Yeah, how did you end up in criminal law? Because you seem smarter. That's when I get. I'm like, thanks. I actually ended up in criminal law because I worked for a criminal law judge, Judge Anthony Marabella, before he retired, and I just fell in love with it. And I get to litigate. I'm a trial attorney. In the true sense of trial attorney, I actually try, as you know, I actually try cases.
Yes.
Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. The fantasy, the thing that's not real, the fantasy is that defense attorneys win all the time. Criminal defense attorneys win all the time. The system is not designed that way.
Watch.
I mean, I win a lot.
Watch more Blue Bloods, okay?
Yeah. So how do you find Blue Bloods in terms of reality?
Well, I'm not a cop, nor am I
the justice system component of it.
It's pretty close.
Okay.
It stays pretty close.
Okay.
I mean,
nepotism.
Well, no, there's a lot of you're in a city the size of New York, and like you have a brother who makes the arrest, and the sister's the one prosecuting the case. Like, no. That you're crossing the streams way too often, and oh, by the way, they would assign somebody else to it in the first place. And just there's when you could suspend disbelief on that level, then you get into it. Hey, we got 1 minute left. Give me within that 1 minute, 30 seconds of commentary on the Menendez brothers.
I think that's them getting parole eligibility and getting out.
No, the governor pushing back on it, saying, I'm not going to make this call. I'm going to hand it off to the next DA.
These guys probably should get out of jail. I mean, they did the crime. They've done some time, significant time.
Yeah.
And look,
30 years.
there's some mitigating circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're not entirely okay with you killing sexual abusers, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So I think ultimately they're going to go home at some point.
Oh, yeah.
In the near
I agree
future.
with that. I agree with that. He's attorney Franz Borgardt. We do Legally Serve this time every week. Always appreciate you, brother. We got ABC News coming your way. After ABC News, we'll check our traffic, weather, and then we've got Hour 2 coming up next here on Talk 107.3 FM.
What am I going to do with this extra time?
I don't know. By the way, Byron says there's no attorney like Jackie Childs. Who? Oh,
Not
I'm
only
not.
is my client not guilty, but he's innocent of being guilty, or something like something.
I remember that. Holy shit. Awesome. You earned 84 cents through Upside. That's not worth it. Circle K on Goodwood at Airline was 6 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting back. 6 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
So I stopped pumping at like 13 gallons or whatever. But those Upside commercials, I made $400 last month. No, you didn't. Shut up. You drove all day, every day. You didn't make that. That's a bunch of horse hockey.
I like the Circle K rewards.
I need to get the Circle K rewards to compound on top of the Upside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if I was making 6 cents a gallon while already saving 10 cents a gallon, now we've got something that's worthwhile here. Now I could save $5 every time I pull through. Troy says Michael Clayton. That's a good one. That's a damn good one. I guess I can close all these stories I had for Franz. Awesome.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to go, right? You open up,
Well, I'd like it to be about the headlines a little more than it is. Oh, after the show, I'm going to the studio almost immediately. I got 2 interviews to do, one at 9:10, one at 9:30, and then I'm going to record some commercials after that, and I've got to record a spec spot for a restaurant that's thinking about advertising. Y'all post up. Which legal movies are we forgetting? Troy got a couple of good ones in there. 7:05 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. Are we still at 57 degrees in 56 in downtown Baton Rouge as we make our way through our Wednesday morning. Coming up this hour, we got Veneeth Iyengar going to be in studio next segment, talking with Veneeth about broadband in Louisiana. We are setting the tone for the full nation, setting the pace for the full nation when it comes to getting this done, and maybe pocketing a few dollars along the way for the state. For the state to use in some other vital categories as well. So we'll talk with Veneeth in our next segment. Also this hour, Congressman Garret Graves, D.C. Current, presented by LABI. Right now, though, we start off your second hour with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
It's going to take a lot to sift through everything at the Capitol, more than our top stories and trending in order to get through that. But bills continue to move forward over at the state Capitol. The plan to phase out the business tax or the corporate franchise tax does continue to move forward. When it comes to inventory taxes, there's going to be local options there as well. Personal income tax, that bill continues to move forward as well. The action at the state Capitol going on right now and continuing probably all the way through Monday. Now's the time when they're starting to run into a lot of the obstacles that are along the way. We had Governor Jeff Landry on talking about it yesterday. If you wanted to hear that, it's available on demand at talk1073.com.
Number 4.
A Baton Rouge man was arrested Tuesday on multiple drug charges following 2 search warrants that were executed by East Baton Rouge deputies. 47-year-old Rodney Luck Johnson was arrested after a search of both his residence and a business over on Plank. Johnson was arrested and booked for distribution of a Schedule II drug and possession with intent to distribute, get ready for it, marijuana, synthetic cannabinoids, fentanyl, crystal meth, and cocaine. He was also charged with possession of a firearm by a felon and operation of a clandestine lab.
Number 3.
More than 30 years worth of LSU championship rings belonging to Dee Bro were reported missing from an athletic office on campus Friday. According to an LSU PD report, a display box containing approximately 40 rings was missing back on November 14th. The report was filed the following morning. They said the box was seen a week earlier in the office. LSU PD is investigating.
Number 2.
Baton Rouge firefighters are getting a little proactive when it comes to cancer screening. This week, firefighters are taking their turn at being screened for esophageal cancer. Jake Morgan, president of the Baton Rouge Professional Firefighters Association, says these screenings are crucial for firefighters because, well, the line of duty puts them at greater risk.
Number 1.
Both candidates in the runoff election for mayor president of East Baton Rouge Parish have agreed to take part in a televised debate that's going to be on WAFB on Tuesday evening. That'll start at 6 p.m. Before that, though, I believe both candidates are going to be the guests at Monday's meeting of the press club. Before we find out what's trending, I will say we've already had both candidates on this show, and we'll have them on repeatedly. Probably not this week, but next week before Thanksgiving, and then, of course, the week leading up to Election Day. We're going to speak with both Mayor Sharon Weston Broome and Coach Sid Edwards. As many issues as we can dive into before we get to December 7th.
So, if you thought Matt Gaetz and Robert Kennedy Jr. were controversial cabinet picks, buckle up, because Donald Trump has named Linda McMahon as his pick to head up the Department of Education. This is so entertaining, right?
I know.
This is just...
I know. And at the same time, though, it's like...
celebrity mismatches? I don't know. It's just...
Okay, I'm going to reserve commentary until after your second trending story because the two tie together.
All right, let's do it. And while also talking education, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, that's how I always want to say it. Anyway, appointments of President-elect Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency gave their approval to a proposal that abolishes the Department of Education.
Yes, that's what they're looking at. And I can't help but wonder if that appointment and this government efficiency recommendation, which they gave their approval to the proposal, but I don't think nobody's sworn in yet. So they can't take their deep dive into the department to get anything real yet. but I can't help but think that those two stories are related. I can't help but think that those two stories are connected. So is Linda McMahon being appointed to dismantle the department? Which, by the way, if you think the Department of Education is this long-standing department cabinet position vital to the existence of America, it was started in 1979. Education's done on a state level and a local level. And yes, it takes federal dollars to get it done, but does it take an entire department to cut a check or to cut multiple checks? I don't know. Look, I'm of the opinion that the question needs to be asked and answered on a very serious level. Not flippantly saying get rid of it, not flippantly saying we can't exist without it. Just because it was created in 1979 and scores in math and science have gotten progressively worse since then, let's start to do the deep dive. If nothing else, scare the bejesus out of everybody working there to start doing their actual jobs.
That may be what it takes. And keeping it with the incoming Trump administration, the president-elect has tapped Dr. Oz to head up the Center of Medicare and Medical Services.
Why not? Why not?
Medicare and Medicaid brought to you by Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz, why not? Let's
just keep it going, right?
You know, the great thing here, John, is that we're not going to have to worry about it because World War III starts before Christmas.
Okay, that is true. So disregard everything you've just heard.
You saw where Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, said he believes World War III has actually already begun.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so
you can't really put a start date on it, but he believes we're already there. So,
man.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, go ahead and cancel your New Year's plans because, World War III. It's 7:11 at Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. We got Veneeth Iyengar up next. I'll be right back. Let him in.
That's a good question. If The Devil's Advocate would be considered a legal movie. Would The Devil's Advocate be considered a legal movie?
Yes.
Hey, how you
yes,
doing?
very much so.
Okay, yeah.
With Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. Yeah. Speaking of Al Pacino, you're gonna have Injustice for All in that list. In fact, there's a soundbite from Injustice for All in the in Franz's Open. I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole court's out of order.
Huh.
Got that yesterday. Also got that yesterday. Okay. Yes. Yes, you absolutely should. 7:14, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Actually running ahead of time for once. This is Mornings with Brian Haldane. It's time to talk broadband. I love this because we're doing something right, y'all. We're doing something that the rest of the nation can look at us and say, I won't be like them. It doesn't happen very often, but that's what's going on right now in the world of broadband. Joining us right now to talk about where we're at in the process and where we go from here is Veneeth Iyengar. Veneeth, welcome back. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So the announcement came out the other day as governor, and by the way, I had the governor on yesterday, and I made sure to reserve a couple minutes so he can comment on this. $1.355 billion is now officially official.
Yes.
That where we're at right now. I hate doing things on my phone. All right.
Well, let me fill in.
Okay.
So the announcement on Monday. So on August 19th, the governor had a press conference to kickstart the actual start of the program, right?
Mm-hmm.
$1.35 billion. So companies are bidding for those dollars to build throughout the state of Louisiana.
Right.
So we had 140,000 households. So it's really 100,000 households, 35,000 small businesses, and 4,000 community anchor institutions that do not have internet. And so the governor's like, all right, August 19th, we're going to kickstart the process. And so actually it's really good symmetry because 3 months later, basically almost to the day, the governor then announced that these are the results. And the results, I'll tell you, Brian, far exceeded the expectations we had. When some inside baseball, which I think is sometimes important for folks, at the beginning of the year, you know, the governor, a ton of credit to the governor, ton of credit to Commissioner Barra, who's our functional boss, Deputy Commissioner Patrick Goldsmith, Randy Davis. They said, look, we need to do a couple of things. The first is we need to run a maniacally efficient free market process to ensure that we get maximized competition for companies to apply for these funds.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do that, then there's a pretty strong opportunity that we might have extra funds that we can focus on other things.
Okay. And how'd that go?
So phenomenal, right? So out of the $1.35 billion, the cost of building internet connectivity to the 140,000 came out about a $750 million, which means we ran such a, again, hyper efficient process that we have over $500 million in money that we don't have to return back to the feds. And
what are we allowed to do with that money?
anything around workforce development, addressing the rural telehealth challenge, anything around addressing issues around K-12 education, precision ag. So the things that are elemental to Louisiana that really are the foundational economies of Louisiana, we can invest those dollars in. So you're basically then taking those dollars and investing in sort of forward future leaning efforts. And so in April, May, that's when the governor said, look, I want to focus on some really big ticket stuff. The first is I really want to focus, for example, on developing the country's best education to employment pipeline system in the country.
Yes.
And so we're investing over $280 million to do that.
And then this is $280 million that's coming strictly from the excess of what was given to us just to implement broadband. But when you don't spend it all there, you get to spend it all elsewhere.
Correct. And I think,
or spend the rest elsewhere.
like, if you don't, and look, every state might have this advantage where they have these excess funds. But if every state doesn't do the first process right, which is running, again, a pretty efficient process to obligating dollars to build the infrastructure, then they're not going to have anything left over.
Oh, no, yes, absolutely. And the more states drag it out and find that they can find ways to waste money, they will.
Yeah, and look, Texas yesterday, it was announced that Texas yesterday got their plans approved on how they're going to spend their money. We had our plans approved on how we're going to spend our money last December.
Right. Well, okay, how important was that to this? Because I feel like since we're out in front, the pork barrel buffet didn't get a chance to line up.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing is this. The reason why we moved with a sense of urgency is, frankly, people need this stuff yesterday, right?
100%.
The second is the companies that are bidding for this work, it's not like they have gobs and gobs of money that they could bid in every state for infrastructure projects. So we needed to make sure we got in front of the state, in front of the companies who were making active capital asset allocation decisions, decisions on which state they're going to invest their dollars, which states are going to be the friendliest, which states are going to be the most business friendly, which states do they feel there's alignment between the governor and the legislature. And frankly, we've got a great legislature for our broadband efforts. Rep. Desitel years ago, back in 2020, created the Office of Broadband, and he's done a fantastic job in being the shepherd of all of our broadband projects. But we had to get in front of all those sort of hurdles in order for companies to be convinced that this is the place to invest in. And the two other things which were important is locking in supply chain ahead of other states, like the fiber optic supply chain and the other widgets and gadgets that are needed. And then last is locking in the workforce to build these networks.
Do we have the workforce to build these networks?
So that workforce effort is building up, right? So we're investing and we're committing $30 million. So the governor's like, let's commit $30 million to LCTCS, or Community College Workforce System. So every community college is actively now offering short-term certifications to offer direct employment for folks that want to pursue this industry.
And we're on the clock as to when they need to be done by, so that they can actually start working.
Yeah, so the money has to be spent in 48 months. But a lot of this work is actually going to be completed within 24 months. In fact, a significant majority of a lot of the construction will start to kick off in the first quarter of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a 12 to 18 month sprint before the work gets done.
Okay, wow. All right. It's getting so close.
Yes.
I want to talk about, you mentioned the companies that put in the
bids.
Put in the bids. We came out with local winners.
75% of the winning, so $750 million that we're obligating for the infrastructure side, 75% of that money is going to go to local companies.
Okay.
Which is amazing, right? So we have 20 companies receiving awards. More than half are Louisiana companies, and 75% of those. So the dollars are circulating within the state of Louisiana.
Which means Louisiana employees as well, which means these are jobs for Louisianans. We're not bringing in people from out of state to do something.
Correct. Because
they know how to do it better. We're setting the tone here.
Correct.
Tell me about the Louisiana Local Fiber Consortium.
So that was a really interesting consortium made up of two local Louisiana companies. So REV, right? ETEL, now known as REV.
Yep.
So REV partnered with a company called Swift Fiber, which is based out of the North Shore. Both of those fiber companies partnered with T-Mobile to basically apply for a massive part of the state. Why that consortium won was the following. The governor prioritized that if we're going to invest all these dollars in infrastructure, that it has to be done right and it has to be resilient.
Mm-hmm.
So over 90% of the infrastructure, we incentivize these companies that if they built it underground, that they would get a ton of points. And so these companies, this consortium is building over 95% of their infrastructure underground.
Wow.
Second is we learned a lot after Hurricane Ida, right? Crippled our telecommunications infrastructure. And so, so the importance of partnering with or incentivizing the partnership with mobile carriers is there are significant gaps within the state of Louisiana. Like if you drive to New Orleans, I'm going to go to New Orleans. Actually, we have nearly 20 different state broadband directors coming to New Orleans tonight and tomorrow to hear about our story, right, and to learn from what we're doing. But as I drive down to New Orleans, as you get closer to La Place, there are dead spots, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there are dead spots all over the state.
You're talking about just like if you're on your cell phone?
Yes.
As soon as you get on the Bonacara spillway, it's going to drop.
Drop. So that's an important issue, right? Because in terms of public safety.
So much so, if I'm on the phone with my wife, I tell her, I'm passing La Place, you're going to drop in a second.
Correct.
Yep.
I mean, I've had the governor call me, and the call's dropped. And then I've had to say, I apologize, Governor, the call dropped. And he's like, well, I told you so. We got to fix the problem. So the thing is, T-Mobile is going to build dozens of 5G towers around the state as a part of this consortium, which is a big win for the state of Louisiana.
Now, okay, so those 5G towers, they're not just for T-Mobile. They're for all of us, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm a novice. I don't know how a lot of this stuff works. I have Haggai on every Thursday. Well, he's actually not going to be on tomorrow, but I have Haggai on almost every Thursday to get inside and hopefully explain things in a way that I can understand. So let's talk a little bit about impacts and who's going to be impacted because I saw you had shared some numbers with me the other day that I just found staggering when you break it down by what the actual day-to-day impacts are, the person-to-person impacts. Right. What are the net effects going to be of this?
Well, look, so the way it's going to work with these extra funds is we're going to obligate $100 million to the Department of Education to develop the country's foremost virtual learning, high-dosage tutoring environment. So Tennessee's education outcomes has done well, namely because they've started piloting high-dosage tutoring within the school, right? Which is for especially K through 5. We're basically taking that model, localizing it here, and under Superintendent Kate Brumley's leadership, we're rapidly scaling and creating the largest of its kind in the country. So that's going to impact 300,000 students between now and the next couple of years.
Yeah.
$20 million to LSU Ag to impact directly 5,000 farmers who will invariably improve operating expenses. $100 million to Workforce Commission to train the next generation of folks that are in sort of computer science, tech, and AI. And If you were to believe what I read in today's Advocate about that one of the big four tech companies that's building something in Northeast Louisiana, think about the impacts that our broadband dollars are going to Northeast Louisiana in concert with that proposed investment based on what the Advocate says, which I think I can't. I was thinking about it this morning, Brian. I can't fathom the generational changes that these investments are going to have between now and the next couple of years.
By the way, it's basic Facebook Meta. That's who looks like they're moving here. I saw the article as well. They're building in it's like an AI data center.
It's a hyperscale AI data center, which requires a ton of power, right? And it's going to create, I think, 500 jobs, $5 billion investment. So if you think about, if you layer connectivity plus this data center, I mean, Northeast Louisiana's GDP is going to skyrocket in ways. That
North Louisiana in general needs the win. Northeast Louisiana specifically,
right,
needs a big win. This is going to Richland Parish,
yeah,
which
is like the Rayville area.
Okay, see, I don't know a whole lot about Richland Parish.
I travel. Tomorrow I'm going to go to Calhoun for a ribbon cutting of a project which is just west of Monroe in Washington Parish.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
We travel a lot. We enjoy it.
Well, okay. How much does an announcement like that affect implementation of what you're doing?
It's additive, right? Because remember, we're connecting people, to the house, right? We're providing internet connectivity to the house. Where it's going to be super additive to an investment, let's say from Meta, based on the Advocate article, is the fact that we're pumping in so much money of these extra funds in workforce development, right? So whether it's money going to the Board of Regents, Workforce Commission, DOE, I mean, you're basically that $280 million investment that the governor is making in these three areas is going to turbocharge our workforce development efforts from now into the future.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, though, is when you look at when you look at a map of Louisiana and implementation of broadband everywhere throughout the state, do y'all have it broken down the same way Department of Health did for COVID with 9 different regions?
Yeah, we've broken it down by parish. So, for example, in East Baton Rouge Parish, there are 3,212 households and small businesses that do not have access to internet. And so we awarded the consortium, REV, to build to those folks. So REV is going to be, I think REV has an existing investment in East Baton Rouge Parish, but they're going to rapidly grow their footprint here, which is good because for competition and options for folks.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, like, when you see an announcement like Facebook, does that say, okay, we got to make sure Richland Parish is tight before they're built?
Well, hyperscale data center is going to take years and years and years before it actually gets built.
All right, so it's not going to.
It's not. I mean, it's these are such massive generational investments. It's going to take some time for it to be built, right? But what we're doing is laying the foundational efforts to making sure A, people are connected, B, the workforce is developed long before then Meta then hires these folks.
How much money is going to be on the back end to, and I'm not talking about training workforce or education in classroom. I'm talking about education of those who need to use this on a day-to-day basis. Are we almost out of time already? Oh, snap. Okay. We've got 2 minutes left. Veneeth Iyengar, talking broadband. How much money is going to be left over to take these people who are in rural Louisiana and don't know from broadband? How do you, what good is... what good's a Ferrari if you don't know how to drive it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the governor always tells me that. Look, you got to make sure you're not building anything that's not going to make any sense if people are not getting connected, which is absolutely correct. So a part of the $280 million that we're investing in some of these agencies is for digital skills, right? There's a foundational piece. There's 465,000 working age adults between 18 and 65 that lack basic digital skills,
right?
And so part of these funds are going to be really given to the community colleges and to the universities and really through the Workforce Commission and Susie Showen, et cetera, to ensure that we address the digital skills on the front end while at the same time creating avenues and pathways for those that have the digital skills but want to be upskilled to work at Meta.
Last one before we get you out of here, and I apologize for squeezing this into the back end of the segment, but cost per household to get this done. Laying fiber everywhere versus just paying Elon Musk.
Okay, so this is the thing. The cost of building fiber connectivity per household is $5,200. a lot of people have said that's the average cost for us.
Okay.
A lot of people have said, why can't you just give a bunch of money to Starlink?
Yeah.
Now, Starlink is going to play a critical role for our efforts. Okay. In fact, there are about 3,000 locations in Louisiana that we're going to have to partner with a LEO provider. And when I say a LEO provider, low Earth orbit, and the two LEO providers that have signified an interest in applying for those funds for those 3,000 locations is actually Starlink and Amazon.
Okay.
Because Amazon has a product as well. The key is this. I have to ensure, and this is federal statute and state law, that whatever we invest in has to meet certain regulatory speeds of 100 download and 20 upload. And so Starlink in small doses does a phenomenal job in exceeding those speeds. But just like anything, if you overload a system, sometimes you're not going to get those speeds on a reliable basis. Right?
Kind of like when everyone watches Netflix for the Mike Tyson fight.
Yes, which I was one of those. And that was a problem, right? Just like the Mississippi River Bridge. Suddenly, I mean, the bridge was designed for X number of people 100 years ago, and now it's like you got many more people. And so we're actively, we've had great relationships with both Starlink and Amazon. They're going to both play a role, and so we'll.
But what you're saying is, if everybody goes towards Starlink and Amazon, you're overloading Starlink and Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is they've got costs that they have to borne. That's much more. That could be potentially much more than your typical retail cost than buying the stuff off the shelf. And that, I mean, there's a little bit more complicated things like there's reservation capacity on satellites that are the next generation satellites. I mean, there are costs built in, and so we can have that Starlink or Amazon conversation.
Let's make that a full other segment, and
it's a fascinating conversation that a lot of people don't know. Again, the sausage making behind how those decisions.
But that's what we're here for. That's the part that I like, because that's where we really start to understand what's going on. In the meanwhile, he is Veneeth Iyengar heading up the broadband. Gumbo and Bead. Somebody's working overtime in the acronym department.
Well, Gumbo was brainchild of Rep Desitel. I mean, we like to eat, right? So all the stuff is gumbo.
When
right?
Mardi Gras has beads. So.
Well, the thing with gumbo, what I tell is it has a lot of fiber in gumbo, and the thing we eat, and a lot of fiber in what we're laying.
Don't.
So,
he's Veneeth Iyengar. We always appreciate the time, brother. Thank you so much. News, traffic, weather. Congressman Graves is next. Oh, yeah. The broadband equity and
access and deployment. That's a federal thing.
Oh, that's not ours?
No.
I thought somebody went Mardi Gras beads.
No. Well, but sometimes we'll go on ChatGPT and throw in. We were thinking about creating a program called A2FA, enabling technology offering for full something employment or something like that. But most people know gumbo. Most people don't know. Most people in the country don't know A2FA.
When I saw bead the other day, I was like, oh no.
But you know what they did? People like the fact that we created gumbo. So in Texas, their program's called Boot. See? And then in some other states, everyone's doing it.
All right.
Well, if I don't see you, have a very happy Thanksgiving.
You do the same, brother. And
we'll catch up in the next several weeks.
Yeah. I would say once football season's over with, but I'm doing a lot of basketball as well for LSU, and I'm coaching games this year.
Okay.
Which is a challenge. My girls are super athletic.
Well, you were telling me that.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Do they play against each other?
Yeah. No, the girls and the boys. No.
No. Your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a work in progress. Plus, I'm about to have to dedicate a shit ton of time to filling out with the oldest going off to college.
That's right.
Scholarships and FAFSA and all that other good stuff.
Oh God. I'm 16 years behind you.
Yeah.
You want to send this to me? Sure. Or I'll just take a screenshot of this. I appreciate his passion.
Well,
all right, I took a screenshot.
Okay. You can take it if you want. I've still got it in my email.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll text him. All righty.
You want to let him know he misspelled cynical, or should I?
He's cynical, is that what he said? I get it. I'm going to Calhoun. Which is just west of. I'm going to an elementary school in Calhoun. big announcement. We awarded Comcast to build fiber optics to about 350 houses. They finished the project a year in advance, and it wasn't a very expensive project. So if I walked him through some maps and showed him stuff, he would be like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Well, you should do the show. You should do Tech Gumbo.
Yeah.
And
We could talk about the Gumbo program on Tech Gumbo.
there you go. So,
All right, man. All right, take care.
you too.
All right, stay safe.
All right, you do the same. Someone's lighting their fireplace tonight. I guarantee it. Cooler temps are on the way. Here with your forecast is Emma Kate Cowan. All at once? Yeah. 738 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. And it's time for DC Current, presented by LABI. Of course, LABI is the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. They are your state's Chamber of Commerce. Check them out at labi.org. We are joined right now, as we are pretty much every Wednesday, for a few more Wednesdays to be sure. He is Congressman Garret Graves on with us now. Congressman, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Brian. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing very well as well. I understand you're actually be traveling next week, so I shouldn't promote you every week because you're going to be international next week.
Yep, we're going to be moving around a little bit. So
we got a lot of ground to cover this morning. Can we start with the incoming Trump administration? Because I know your name has been in the news a lot as a potential for the next transportation secretary. That didn't play out. How real was the talk there?
Well, look, I mean, number one, they called me. I didn't call them, so they reached out to me. And as a matter of fact, I went back and counted. I think they've reached out to me on 8 different positions within the within the administration. But that was the one that I thought made the most sense. But look, Sean Duffy, who they chose, Sean and I used to work together. Talked to him for a long time last night, and was in touch with him prior to that as well. We're good friends. He's a good guy, and I certainly pledged to be as helpful and supportive of him as possible. So we're going to be in touch a good bit over the next several days, just kind of working on trying to lay some of those first steps down, just giving him our recommendations on things that they ought to be doing coming out of the gate. So good discussion, good conversation, and he's a good guy. But yeah, they did. They're the ones who reached out to me on that position and a number of other ones. But as I said, I think that's the one that I was most interested in.
Some of the cabinet positions that have been announced thus far have been controversial, have been some headline makers. I mean, he's putting together a unique team.
He is, and look, Brian, I think what you have to keep in mind is that President Trump is a shock and awe guy, and he likes that. But something else that I think is an even more important message is I think he's conveying to the public that we are going to have change. Things are going to be different. And so, he has always been, even dating back to 2016, he has been a candidate of I'm going to make change. And look, I haven't always agreed with everything that they did, but I do think that he is exactly right in this case, and that there was a strong desire for change. I mean, people didn't have on their radar that he was going to win the popular vote, and I think it really shows how overwhelming the desire for change was. And so I'm glad that he's going to come in and make significant changes and trying to address the inflation issue, trying to focus the government on the right types of infrastructure investments, getting energy prices down, helping to ensure the competitiveness of U.S. small businesses, the U.S. workforce against some of these unfair trade practices, unfair competition that we're seeing from other countries. There's a lot of frustration out there, helping to, put some type of exit ramp or end to these conflicts and wars where we're sending billions and in many cases hundreds of billions of dollars. I think people want a new direction, and of course one of the biggest ones is stopping this southern border madness that's going on, distinguishing us from Mexico, making clear that we are a different country. We are exceptional. And so I think that these picks really represent a lot of that. But, the good news is that I'm very close to a lot of the people that he's chosen in the administration. I think Chris Wright over at Department of Energy. Chris and I have worked together for a number of years. He is super, super sharp, understands the energy industry from top to bottom, and I think it'll be really, really good there. Elise Stefanik is a friend, Mike Walsh, John Ratcliffe, Sean Duffy. I mean, so a lot of these people are people that I've worked with for a number of years, and I think are really, really good folks that are going to be able to help be agents of change.
Let's stick with energy real quick, because I think a lot of folks in Louisiana are curious where energy's headed under a Trump administration.
Yeah, so look, this year is going to be the first year since we began offshore production under a federal regime where we have not auctioned off or opened up new areas for energy production. I mean, Brian, I'm talking about for decades and decades. I mean, dating back to before I was born. And so, I mean, this is outrageous. I need to go back and double check exactly which year, but in any case, I mean, it's outrageous that here you have surges in global energy demand, and here you have the Biden administration not opening up new areas, which look, it disproportionately impacts Louisiana. So I think one of the first things you're going to see Secretary Burgum do at Department of Interior is open up some of these production areas in the Gulf of Mexico, open up these areas for business to where we can begin future production. Because look, what the Biden administration understood but most people don't fully appreciate, is that the crisis, the energy crisis that they caused by not doing lease sales, it's not for the Biden administration. It's not even going to be for the Trump administration. It's going to be 10 years later. And so you are going to cause an energy crisis in the out years, but you also begin causing a chill of investment. If folks are thinking, oh, well, we're not going to be producing here anymore, they stop investing, they stop fabricating. It has a huge impact on the economy of South Louisiana, where we have so much industry tied back to energy. And so we need to be producing all of the energy that we can from renewable sources, from conventional sources, but certainly the Gulf of Mexico is a gold mine in regard to having the lowest emitting, the lowest carbon intensity energy in the world. And it's from a place that has good practices for the environment. And, of course, it benefits our economy. This is just crazy. He'll reverse the LNG export ban to where we can begin exporting natural gas to other countries and not allow Russia and some of these other countries that aren't our friends to fill those voids and make money off of it. Big change.
We got Congressman Garret Graves on with us, D.C. Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Yeah, big change, which could lend towards a lot of good news for Louisiana. I mean, look, I remember what Department of Energy was like in the first Trump administration when Dan Brouillette was over there. So we'll hopefully we'll see more, not more of the same, but it's newer and it's going to be a lot more of the all of the above as well. So looking forward to it, to be sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And I just had lunch with Dan last week. We were talking about all of this. He's a super guy and did a great job over there.
Were you in his hometown of Pankerville?
Actually, he's not from there, and
I had to call it back one more time.
I'm happy to get him to cut a video to explain to you, or maybe show you a map where the different cities in Assumption Parish are.
We got Congressman Garret Graves with us. Okay, hopefully that lightens the mood a little bit, because when I get into my next question, I have a feeling your blood pressure is going to go up a good bit.
Listen, Foster, do you hear this? I mean, are you listening to this blasphemy that Brian's saying?
I got to pivot and ask you a little bit about FEMA, because you kind of tore them a new one yesterday.
Well, Brian, look, you know what it's like when disasters hit a community.
Yes.
You know what it's like when people feel absolutely helpless because they've lost everything. They've lost absolutely everything. Cell phones don't even work. Their cars are flooded. All their clothes are gone. All their family heirlooms are destroyed. And people feel absolutely hopeless. And so, look, the folks that are coming in, these responders that are coming in, they're supposed to be helping to provide a hand up. They're supposed to be helping to devise a path forward. And what we saw in Florida and potentially in North Carolina was that FEMA workers were intentionally avoiding folks where they had Trump supporters living, intentionally avoiding the homes. And, of course, there's this big conflict right now about whether this team leader in Florida was operating under her own volition, her own decisions, or she was operating under direction from above. She has gone and publicly said she was given direction from above to do this. And so we've got to get to the bottom of this. But I want to, once again, think about if you walk by and somebody's having a heart attack, you walk by and somebody's injured in a car crash, you don't just keep going. You stop and help. And that's the analogy here. You had people that were in extraordinary need, and FEMA ignored them. Disasters don't discriminate across socioeconomic, ethnic, or political, ideological lines, and neither should the response or recovery. And that's exactly what these folks did. It is disgusting, and they need to be held accountable for that, and we need to understand how deep this goes within FEMA to make sure that it does not happen on either side at any point in the future. And, of course, at the hearing, we also spent a good bit of time going through the scenario where you can be an illegal alien that broke the law, came into the United States illegally, and get $10,000 worth of aid from our taxpayers, yet the disaster victims in North Carolina were offered $750 and told good luck, and not in some cases given housing options and food and clothing and health care and transportation options, but we're offering all of that to criminals who broke the law, who aren't even citizens of our country, whereas our own taxpayers, we're not providing them appropriate recovery or assistance. And so it was a contentious hearing. It was, but I think it needed to be contentious because of how ridiculous U.S. policies are in this case.
And look, lean into the uncomfortable. I'm all about it, and that's one of the things I'm looking forward to for the next 4 years is uncomfortable conversations, because that's the only way you grow. Last one before we get you out of here, and there's a ticking clock on your this term. Looking at what you still got on your rundown, looking at what you still got on your congressional punch list, what still has some level of reality of getting done?
Well, look, top of the list is the Social Security Fairness Act, the bill that we did for to help fix the Social Security discrimination or penalty charge to teachers, police officers, firefighters, and so many other public servants. So that's what number one on our list is. Number two, I think, is duplication of benefits, trying to get that last group of people fixed from the 2016 flood that were mistreated in regard to their eligibility for grants whenever they got a loan. We still have legislation on restoring the coast of Louisiana we're working on. We got one that creates parity for the seaward boundaries. But I'll tell you what I'm doing more work on right now than anything else is working and trying to help with some of the transition or kind of first day documents for energy policy for the Department of Interior and Department of Energy, working with Sean Duffy and making sure that he's got some really good ideas on how he can transition and we stop talking about building new bridges for 40 years and go out there and start turning dirt and actually doing it. And so, stop getting stuck in all of the process and the regulatory, and let's get out there and build things. Whenever we built the interstate system, we did not sit here and spend all of this time doing all of these triplicate reviews and paying bureaucrats. We went out there and we built stuff. We are behind where we need to be today, and I really want to help this next administration hit the ground running and put the right policies in place that ensure the future of America and ensure the American dream for the next generations.
He is Congressman Garret Graves, joins us about this time almost every week for DC Current, presented by LABI. Congressman, safe travels next week, and we'll talk to you in early December.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Absolutely. 7:52 at Talk 107.3 FM. We missed your money now. My apologies. We'll come back, get inside the session on tax reform next. I should probably explain the Dan Brouillette thing. Yeah, when we come back. Facebook chat should know it. The Facebook, those who have been around for a good minute. When Dan Brouillette was the Secretary of Energy, Dan Brouillette's Wikipedia page says he's from Pankerville. And Congressman Graves continually says he's from Napoleonville, which they're right next door to each other. Like, you could share a mailbox, So it just became this bit where I would say he's from Pankerville, and Congressman Graves would tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I finally asked Dan Brouillette about it one day, and he was like, well, my mailing address, my street leg. I'm like, no. Just tell the congressman he's wrong. Just tell the congressman he's wrong. He's like, well, you're both right. I'm like, unacceptable.
Right. I mean,
it's not enough for me to be right. He has to be wrong.
They're so close to where, your mailbox could be in Pankerville and your address could be in Napoleonville. It's right.
So it's been one of my favorite recalls.
It bleeds right into Donaldsonville. So you're just like, all of it is just
yeah.
Right there.
I got to go upstairs at the break and get my plug in, my charger. Damn it. It was fully charged. It was charged all the way this morning. Yeah. And like there was no little gap in that battery, so I thought I was good to go.
This is dying fast.
Yeah. 7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, 57 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Thanks again to Congressman Garret Graves for hopping on board for DC Current, presented by LABI. Okay, I need to apologize real quick. I hate when there's inside jokes on a radio show, because if you're new to the show, you missed out on that. When I referenced Dan Brouillette, former Secretary of Energy, and said he was from Pankerville, this was a long-standing back and forth between the congressman and I. The first time I had Dan Brouillette on the show, looked him up. His Wikipedia page says he's from Pankerville, and the congressman insists that he's from Napoleonville. And so we went back and forth about this, and the congressman continues to call me wrong, say that I'm wrong about it. So finally I asked Dan Brouillette, I was like, settle this for us once and for all. And the energy secretary was like, you're both right, based off of like zip code versus mailing address versus whatever. And I'm like, no, it's not enough for me to be right. He's got to be wrong. So it was just, it became this running bit. If you've been around for it, you understand where it's at. But if you're new to the show or haven't heard about it before, that's why I busted up laughing at that, because I had to call it back one more time. So anyway. Wikipedia page still says Pankerville, by the way. Just saying. If it was wrong, it would have been updated by now. Let's take you inside the state capitol real quick. Special session on tax reform. Golly. First of all, shout out to our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network. They caught up with Jeremy Alford from La Politics for some audio here. We're going to run out of time, or we're looking at the potential of running out of time on this special session. When you talk about sales taxes and what's going to be increased and what's going to be added, 19 different services being added to the sales tax base instead of the 41 that were originally proposed by the governor. Jeremy Alford says this looks like a lot of lawmakers, when you can see that kind of whittling down, they're making some headway.
There already seems to be some agreements on certain services that would have the sales tax applied to it that currently is not. That list is much smaller than the one the administration initially brought up.
Which is great, because there were a number of services out there, and we're going to break down which 19 are still out there on it. But when you had 41 of them on there, there were a lot of things where you really ran the risk of having an off-the-books economy. When you really, and I don't want to call it a black market economy because that sounds nefarious, but really just moving things off the books. And I think my biggest one there was lawn care. And I don't know if lawn care is part of the 19 or not, but it's very easy for someone who owns a lawn service to, when quoting prices, I tell you what, how about DJs? All right, this is something I do on the weekends. I DJ weddings and parties and stuff on the weekends, trying my best to get out of the business, but whatever. But if you were to come to me and say, how much are your services? If I had to charge tax on my services, I would quote one price. If you're paying me by check or Venmo or PayPal or anything traceable, I'd quote another price if it's straight cash. I would most certainly, I would definitely look at doing that. Definitely. What's Uncle Sam going to know about? Well, it depends. I mean, do you want to pay more because you have to file the taxes and whatnot? Tell you what, if we go cash, I don't have to worry about paying the taxes because you never paid me. It's a big deal. By the way, the House approved a measure to reduce income taxes to a flat 3% across the board. Jeremy Alford from La Politics says if they can't agree on accompanying sales tax plan, that income tax plan could be in jeopardy.
But without making up that revenue somewhere else, that's just going to be a difficult task to carry forward.
And that's the sticking point right there. Why do we have to make up the revenue rather than trim the spending, which brings us around to another story that we'll pick up at a later time. Right now, we got to get the news. All right, guys, I got to run upstairs, get my charger. I apologize. Yes, sir.
Hey, I watched a little debate last night. Did you have a chance to watch it?
What debate? Did a debate last night? That was last night? I thought it was next Tuesday. Oh, shoot. Well, I messed that story up. What? I don't look aggravated. I have a certain amount of time. You asked when this day in history was. I told you it's coming up now. What do we got? Oh, okay. I can't win.
It was this day in history in 1971. The first time the goalpost was torn down in Tiger Stadium.
Really? Okay.
That's what he wanted to say.
I don't freaking understand. I need a new charger because this isn't taking.
Or is it that dead? It's not dead, right?
Huh?
It wasn't dead, right?
No, it's not dead, but it's about 20%. It's almost down to 20%. If you blow through 80% in the first hour and 40 minutes, 806, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane. Rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We got a busy third hour as well. I mean, just blowing and going on the show today. In this hour, actually next segment, we're going to be talking with the folks from Baton Rouge General and Exxon Mobil. They're doing some pretty cool stuff in North Baton Rouge that we want to get to, we want to cover, and make sure that all the information's out there. Lauren Hebert-Henderson is the community relations advisor over at Baton Rouge General, is going to join us, and Meg Mahoney from Exxon Mobil going to join us. This is takes us back to a mobile health unit is what it's all about. So we're going to talk about that in our next segment, and then what happens to the film industry in Louisiana if the film tax credit goes away. For those of y'all that listen to the show regularly, you know I'm passionate about this one because there's 30 states now that have film tax credits, and basically, if you remove the film tax credit, you're just going to lose all the business. So, looking at what it costs you nothing because the revenue doesn't exist without the credit at all. Removing the credit is it's like a reverse tariff, if you will, because so many other places offer credits, offer a better way to do business. We undo what we've already done, and a lot of people are going to be without jobs. We're going to talk with Jason Waggenspack. He's with Film Louisiana. That's going to be in our 8:35 segment. Right now, though, time to roll back the clock. Time for this day in history. All right, Sean.
All right. Starting off in 1789, New Jersey is the first state to ratify the Bill of Rights.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there's that. Hey, 1902, Tour de France was created by Gio Lefebvre. I guess. I'm just trying to say it.
Yeah.
Frenchy. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. 1958 here. Puppeteers Jim and Jane Henson established Muppets Incorporated, now known as the Jim Henson Company.
Wow.
A
Cool.
long way. Oh, shout out
I'm
to
a big
Condon.
Muppet fan.
Yeah.
I'm big. I grew up on the Muppets.
Who didn't, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well,
generationally, it's
but
just,
there's the Sesame Street Muppets, but there's the Muppet movie.
yes,
There's
classics.
yeah.
Absolute classics.
Watch the originals. You get the new ones now, but I watched the originals. Make sure my kids saw the originals as well.
Yeah. It's important, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Rainbow
it was all
Connection.
part of our childhoods.
Singing the Rainbow Connection.
Yeah.
What's not in my brain because all the words to the Rainbow Connection, actually all the words to every song in there. I probably couldn't do it without the musical accompaniment, but
Yeah.
if I was sitting there watching the movie, I still know all the words to all the songs.
Right. Absolutely. And I think just they cross those barriers between adults and children. I mean, just everyone, celebrities beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, the music, everything about it, just incredible stuff. And so I want to shout out Condon for this one. 1971, LSU beat Notre Dame 28-8.
Oh, wow.
And was also the first time the goalpost was torn down in Tiger Stadium.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what else we got here. 1975, Ronald Reagan announces candidacy for a Republican nomination for U.S. president today. 1984, this is insane. McDonald's makes its 50 billionth burger with a B, billionth, in 1984.
50 billionth burger.
In 84.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
We're
40 years ago.
Who's keeping track of that, by the way?
That's a good question.
You know?
That's a good question because, from the times McDonald's started till 1984, somebody was like, I need to, this isn't the way I wanted it. Y'all put y'all put ketchup on this. I don't want it. So does that count as another burger?
Or being that, yeah, right?
Like a swap? Does 50 billion burgers mean 50 billion patties?
Yeah.
Because Big Macs have 2, a double quarter pounder would have 2.
Or someone went into the office of the guy who was supposed to be counting and was like, hey, what's the numbers for, it's got to be some, you know what? 50 billion?
50 billion.
50 billion. Really? Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever.
Hey, 2022, U.S. President Joe Biden turns 80 years old, becoming the first octogenarian to serve in the country's highest office.
Yep.
So fascinating stuff. Anything else today?
No.
Okay, moving on to birthdays. As I just mentioned, Joe Biden, 82 today. Rapper
Happy birthday, Mr.
Future.
President.
Rapper Future here. Who else we got here? Jeremy Jordan. Actor Jeremy Jordan.
Okay.
Let's see who else. I don't know. As far as notable, it's slow day. You know what? Josh Turner here, country music star Josh Turner.
Don't know.
Joel McHale.
Okay, I know who he is.
From Community. If
right.
you don't know, country singer also. Dierks Bentley today.
Okay. Got a few more from the world of politics, to be sure. Robert Byrd, former U.S. Senator, was born on this day in 1917. You had Edwin Hubble. You might know his name from the telescope as an American astronomer, born on this day in 1889. And Robert F. Kennedy, not RFK Jr., but his old man, born on this day in 1925.
I got to say this, Demetrius Shipp Jr., I don't know if you have a picture of him. I thought it was Tupac.
Oh.
Apparently he played Tupac in the biopic All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
But as I'm scrolling here, I'm like, wow, I literally thought that was Tupac.
Okay.
So yeah, that guy's his birthday today.
Didn't even have him on my list.
Notable deaths today. Yeah, not many that would be considered notable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anything on your end?
Yeah, we got Leo Tolstoy, Russian writer Tolstoy, died on this day in 1910. Francisco Franco died on this day in 1975. And director Robert Altman died on this day in 2006.
Oh, okay. National days today. Future Teachers of America Day.
Mm-hmm.
And National Pay Back Your Parents Day.
Pay Back Your Parents Day. Is that a thing?
It's a thing, I guess.
Okay.
Isn't everything a thing, though? National days.
Well,
I mean, we got one for everything.
I didn't know paying back your parents was a thing.
It's a day.
Okay. See, I'm both on the giving and the receiving end of that one.
Yeah.
All right. 813 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We are due up for a quick break. When we come back, the folks at Baton Rouge General and the folks at Exxon Mobil doing some great work up in North Baton Rouge. We're going to talk about it next.
The tagline is, you turned out just fine, so now you can pay back your parents.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. She's awesome.
She's not a receptionist. She was our director of food and I'm glad. And if she caught you, I'm glad you made it up here on time.
I know. I was like, okay, we gotta go.
Those are
So
not
where do
quick
you want?
conversations.
You want me?
Right there and there.
Okay.
We're always on Facebook Live. The camera is never off.
Right. Yeah, she was telling us about her trips each winter for
816 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Earlier in the week, there was a big announcement about a mobile health unit coming to North Baton Rouge. We're going to dive into that in exactly 60 seconds. I do need a moment to tell you about the folks over at Vex European. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. If you drive a European vehicle, a Mercedes, a BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, Range Rover. In fact, if you go to vexeuropean.com, look at where it says vehicles, hit that little drop down and see if your make of vehicle is on there. They have a master technician who specializes in your make of vehicle. Like I have a Mercedes. I have a 16-year-old Mercedes, which means it needs all the love and care possible to keep it running tip top. Yeah, I go to Vex European because of exactly that. I know my car is taken care of. Same day or next day service. If you book it today, you're getting it at the very latest tomorrow. Same day or next day service, whether you're talking about the basic maintenance that you need for your car or anything above and beyond that, they've got you covered over at vexeuropean.com. In fact, I probably need to hop on the website as well because as the temperature cools down, yeah, you know you got to run through all the checks and whatnot. So I'll be going to see Vinny and his team over at Vex European. Check them out at vexeuropean.com. All right, time to welcome to the studio from Baton Rouge General, their Community Relations Advisor, Lauren Hebert-Henderson, and from Exxon Mobil, their Public and Government Affairs Advisor, Meg Mahoney. Welcome aboard. How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning.
Let's get y'all right up. Scooch on in if you could a little bit.
Good
There
to
we
be
go.
here.
Glad to have you all on here. Saw the announcement earlier in the week, a mobile health unit coming to North Baton Rouge. I guess, Lauren, let's start with you. What exactly is a mobile health unit?
Our mobile health unit is a bus that we have outfitted to be a doctor's office. So
Okay.
it is everything that you can go and get in a primary care office. You can get it on the mobile unit vehicle.
All right, so yeah, that would be my immediate thought was like something like an ambulance, but this would be
Just like an
so,
ambulance,
but like so much more
upgraded.
friendly.
Yeah, much more friendly. We have, as soon as you come on, we have a triage area. You get to sit with our director that's over the triage area, and then you go in a room and you see the physician or the nurse practitioner that's working, whoever's working the unit that day.
This actually, so I saw the announcement this week, but this actually launched a little while ago. This was like the end of September.
Yep, September 30th was our first day out in the streets. We've been at 5 different community stops on a weekly basis since then. We're coming up to week 9 with those for next week, and then we'll end that first set of stops, do some one-off special events in December, and then kick back up to another set of 4 to 5 stops come January.
What got y'all rolling on this? No pun intended. What got y'all started on this? How did you find the necessity here?
So we were talking to the community, trying to figure out what it is that we needed. We know healthcare is not easily accessible in North Baton Rouge. For our mid-city campus, we can be 2 miles away, and they will not come. So we said, okay, we're just going to go to them because we know healthcare is needed in our community. And so we talked to some donors and got it fully funded through philanthropic dollars. And so here we are. Now I get to roll through the streets of Baton Rouge providing healthcare.
Give me a couple of examples of the locations you've been thus far.
We partner with our housing authority partner. So we go to Turner Plaza. We partner with the library system. And so our first stop has been also at Eden Park Library. We partner with churches who have food pantries. So we go to True Light Baptist Church. And then we also partner with our community center. So we also go to the Martin Luther King Community Center.
Very, very cool stuff. You say the mid-city campus could be 2 miles away and they're still not going. Is that just translation of like need for a hospital versus need for basic medical care?
Both.
Okay.
So we also want, when you come to the ER, to be for an emergency situation versus coming for a high blood pressure that you can get fixed at a doctor.
Right.
So it is hard to translate that to communities that don't see physicians on a regular basis because in their mind, everything is an emergency because I'm not following up for regular basic care needs.
Right.
So our goal is to get that more readily available to people so that way they don't come to the emergency room for basic needs that can be met through a physician's office.
I'm sure there's a checklist here of what you can actually do with this mobile health unit. What kind of services are provided? I know you said like basically just same as going to a doctor's office, but what does it entail?
I can do everything, but we can probably do sutures, but surgery on this unit. So your COVID flu shots, your diabetes maintenance care, your high blood pressure care, sprayings, all of that kind of stuff can be done on here.
I think one of the untold benefits of this is once you're going to the emergency room, number one, it's worse than it would have been, and number two, cost wise, it escalates as well. This is literally an ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure.
Right. So to do preventative care, that's what we're trying to do. So that way, when you do come to the emergency room, it's for an actual emergency. Preventative care needs to be done before then. So that way it keeps you out of the emergency room.
Let's get Meg in here. Meg Mahoney is the Exxon Mobil Baton Rouge Public and Government Affairs Advisor. How did Exxon Mobil get involved here?
So Exxon has been in North Baton Rouge for 115 years. And so our fence line community is very important to us. And we do a lot through our contributions program in education, workforce development, civic and community, and health and safety. And we said, we really want to do more in the area of health. And so this was a great opportunity with the mobile health unit bringing that access to care, to preventative care, basic health care to the North Baton Rouge community that we thought, that just really lines up with us being able to take, contribute to the needs of our neighbors. And so it was a great opportunity for us, and we got some funding from the ExxonMobil Foundation to support, and it's been a win-win. We're excited to see the unit out and about and get people into the system of getting regular health access.
Lauren, did y'all pitch them on this, or did they pitch y'all on this? Like, how did this partnership get started?
We pitched them, I believe, on this. We, like I said, this unit is all covered by philanthropic dollars. And so we go to our community partners to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. How can you help us? And so it's through great partnerships with the ExxonMobil Foundation and that group to put this together.
Right.
The bigger business community that see the needs in the community, wanting to make a change and a difference.
Meg, what's the long-term outlook for something like this? Is the hope to have, more than one? I don't want to say a fleet, but definitely enough to get out and about in more than one spot.
Yes, I think, and the way it's structured is the unit is going to the same spots for, I believe, 10 weeks to, some people may see it one time and wonder, what is that? Is it just here to do some kind of screening? I don't know. No, it's actually a doctor's office, a mobile doctor's office in your community. And so get folks into the system, get them getting that preventative care, and then moving throughout North Baton Rouge with additional stops. I think the need will determine, will there be another one in the future? Will there be other parts of town that really have a critical need? And so we'll see. It's only been a few, 9 weeks?
Yeah.
So, but it's had some great successes so far.
Lauren, I want to talk about the patients that might visit this. What are their requirements there? Because I know while transportation is probably the biggest issue, I would imagine either insurance or fear of cost might run in there as well.
So we can't provide free care, but we run care. We take all insurances. And so if they cannot afford or do not have insurance, we have partners on site to help them sign up for insurance.
Very cool.
If they sign up for insurance, their first visit is covered through some foundation dollars with us.
Okay.
So our goal is to always be cost effective for the people that are there. If you can start just removing excuses, then that's what we do.
All that's left is stubbornness. So,
absolutely.
Meg, let's get back over to you real quick because this is not ExxonMobil's. This is not unique for y'all. Y'all continually find ways to get involved. What are a few of the other ways that ExxonMobil helps out in North Baton Rouge?
Sure, we do a lot in the areas of education and workforce development.
RCC especially, yeah.
Yes, we do a lot with North Baton Rouge Industrial Training Initiative, NBRIDI, which offers craft training to folks who want to get into industrial crafts. It's a year of free training. We also have a great high school internship program for high school students who are interested in careers in the energy industry, where they can come and do actual meaningful work at our facility and get paid for it and learn about career paths and, whether that's through the crafts or in engineering and other things. So we've done that. This was our 4th year, and that's been a great program. And we're continuing to get out into the schools, try to mentor students, show them what STEM is about and how it can be a fun and exciting career for them to support our industry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the future of education on that front, to be sure,
Yes.
and building out education to be more workforce based, to be sure, but like future goal minded,
Right.
as well. It's
Right.
we're not. It's not all about the workforce. It's about
Right. And understanding what the possibilities are. You
Mhm.
know, it should be limitless for these kids. What they want to put their mind to, they can achieve.
Lauren, as we move forward with this mobile health unit, you mentioned some of the spots along the way that y'all have been. Where are y'all planning to go in the future?
So we're going to continue working with community partners. So we'll have another library stop. We'll have another housing authority stop. Our main goal is to always go where people are and where they are already congregating versus showing up somewhere that they're not there that they have to come to.
Right, and you had mentioned that. There's repetition's going to affect demand for sure.
Yes.
What's demand been like thus far?
We've roughly seen about 90 or so patients
Oh
so far.
wow, that's higher than I thought. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 90 or so patients so far. Being able to cure or diagnose early for early prevention has been key, and we've been able to do that as well. We had some amazing stories of diagnosis that was caught early for people that did not know they had these issues.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that allows us to do preventative care early.
Moving forward, what level of demand is going to be needed to call the? I mean, success is a hard thing to
Right.
quantify here. But what level of demand are we looking at to say, like, it takes this many visitors to say we're winning?
That's a good question. 12 to 13 visits a day
Per day?
would
Yeah.
make us
Okay.
even and my higher ups real happy. But sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, but and there's this other mix of quality versus quantity, because if you've
Absolutely.
diagnosed something, if
Yeah.
you've got one visitor and diagnosed
really
something that
the
could have
win.
right,
That's really good.
yeah, it throws any other equation out the window.
Yeah, we've been able to get some real good cancer diagnosis, being able to do breast exams and mammograms to get early detection,
Mhm.
and then saying, okay, we found something, you need to come immediately into the hospital. And so it helps not only preserve life longer, but it introduces people to care longer. And so those are always wins for us.
We got about a minute left with Lauren Henderson from Baton Rouge General and with Meg Mahoney from Exxon Mobil. Meg, I want to pivot back to you in this, as you're watching this thing move forward. Look, Exxon has never needed to be pushed into helping the community, but something like this has to be rewarding.
It is. I mean, pardon me, when you hear the stories of people who have gotten, maybe bragged that I never go to the doctor.
Right.
And then they visit the unit and find out they need care and they didn't know it. That's a win.
Yeah, big time. Well, we'll be on the lookout for it throughout 70802 and 70805 to be sure.
Yeah. You can visit us at www.batonrougegeneral.com/mobile health unit.
BatonRougeGeneral.com/mobile health unit, and be on the lookout. Oh, is it appointment based?
We take appointments, and you can also do walk-ins.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thank you all so much both for coming in this morning. I greatly appreciate a couple minutes.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks for having us.
Let's hit news, traffic, weather. We'll continue next. God, it snuck up on me on the back end.
Definitely not the website. I don't know what I came up with. Sorry.
You're all good. You're all good.
Yeah.
Without
Here's the
fail,
go.
you can ask him without fail. We'll have the entire news break at 8 o'clock, and I'll go from 8 o'clock until 8:05, and I'll be fine. And the moment I turn on my microphone, and I've already done 2 hours of show, but the moment I turn on my microphone at 8:05 leading up to 8:06, I have to call like, every day. It's the worst.
I don't know. Sorry.
So, no, my absolute pleasure, y'all. Yes, absolutely.
Alrighty, back to your regular spot.
Yep.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank
so
y'all.
much. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat.
Kill all the mics. This promo burned way too fast. Oh, holy hell. Looking like we're only getting up to 70 degrees for your high today. Going to be under sunny skies, though, to be sure. But your high is 70. Overnight low tonight dips down to 40. Tomorrow we'll top out at just 68 with an overnight low of 41. Friday, your high is 66. Overnight low Friday night into Saturday morning going to be 39 degrees. Game day Saturday should be a great day for tailgating out on LSU's campus as Vanderbilt comes into town. Your high 68 under sunny skies. Looking ahead to next week, we will creep back into the 80s for Monday, and then there's a slight chance of rain Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Right now, sunny skies, 62 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. .837, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time to get you back inside the legislative session on tax reform. There's a lot of moving parts going on right now, and one of the big things that we've talked about with the governor and with Julie Emerson, who wrote HB 1, is that in order to make the lowering of the state income tax and eventual elimination of the state income tax work, you got to offset it by nixing a bunch of credits. Offset it by nixing a bunch of tax cuts. Well, one of the ones that's in the crosshairs right now, and it's befuddling as to why, is the Louisiana Film Tax Incentive Program. Joining us now to talk about that from the Ranch Studios and from Film Louisiana, it's Jason Waggenspack. Good morning and welcome back. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today, Brian.
No, glad to have you on here. It's unfortunate we have to be talking about this, but I think it's important to talk about as well, because when you look at a bunch of different tax programs, this one is a little bit different in that the state's not losing dollars by having the program. So can you start off by talking about the film tax credit or film tax incentive program, what it does and why it doesn't cost the state money?
Sure. I mean, look, this program was started actually in the mid-'90s, but really came into a flux with Steve Scalise and Cedric Richmond in 2002, making us the very first film program in the United States, and now 40 states have followed suit after us. That means 40 states have copied what Louisiana has done. We're doing something right, huh?
Yeah, one would think. That 40 states thing is a big part of this to me, Jason, because if you are in the film business and you're looking to make a film, make a TV show, make a movie, whatever the case might be, if 40 states are offering some sort of credit program and your state is not, it's almost the reverse of having a tariff, isn't it? I mean, you're going to lose the business.
That's correct. And so, you know, the great part about what was started in 2002 is that it did drive film production to the state of Louisiana. The idea at the time was to keep film production in the United States because we saw so much activity heading to Canada and Europe at the time, and it worked. It caused for an influx of a massive amount of production that came here. We became the number one place to film a movie in 2016. And then since then, we've done almost 3,000 projects, and we now have a surplus of over almost $1 billion in sales that comes to the state of Louisiana. So it's a massive economic impact, and LED each year puts out an impact study that shows that for every dollar that comes out of the state, $6.32 goes back into the economy, into the local economy as an economic impact. And so therefore, that's a 6 times amount that's coming through. It's a massive piece that we obviously want to see continue here in the state of Louisiana.
Talk with Jason Waggenspack from Film Louisiana about the Film Tax Incentive Program. Jason, where does the perception come from that it does cost money, though?
The perception is that for any time that you have an incentive, anytime you're giving an incentive, whether it's an ITAPS incentive, whether it's an incentive to bring in an Amazon distribution facility, whether it's a grain factory, you're incentivizing business to come into the state. And so what the state looks at is they say, well, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. And then the way that they come back and try to equate that is how much can we get for our 5 cents of taxes that goes back into the actual state budget. And so that's the reason that there is a bit of a discrepancy on what the actual value of the program is. Well, I look at it and I say for every dollar out, if you're only charging 5 cents to come back, you're almost going to be hard-pressed to find an actual equivalent dollar for dollar directly to the state. But if you look at the local ripple effect that happens with those dollars that goes out, for instance, the $6.32 that hits the economy, you have to take a look at it in a different perspective to say, man, this is a massive juggernaut of an opportunity for this business to thrive in the state. And the state auditor proved that in 2023 by coming out and saying that it generates more household income than it derives out. There's $360 million in household income that is brought to Louisiana local residents each year for the $180 million that goes out into the state. I call that a massive benefit because guess what? You get another $600 million on top of that in just sales alone. That's a big win.
That $180 million, though, how much of that dissolves if you remove the credit?
Well, like any good business, if there is no predictability and sustainability, you're going to see a massive decline. Mm-hmm. And so we would probably see a decline in business, obviously, if we got rid of a lot of the tax credits in the program here.
Talk with Jason Waggenspack from Film Louisiana about the film tax, the film tax credit, the film tax incentive program. We've jacked with this thing before, Jason. And what were the results the last time we messed with this?
Well, we messed with it back in 2015 when Jindal was trying to create, obviously a balanced budget. And what he did is he froze the buyback on the program. And what that caused is it caused instability in the amount of productions that were coming here. They all looked at us and said, well, if you're not going to allow us to have the value of the credit here, then why do we trust that we're going to actually come here to bring our projects? And so it created a ripple effect in Hollywood that unfortunately still to this day, we're still marketing behind that we still have a program because we never lost the program. We just froze that buyback. But everybody in Hollywood assumed that that was the case. And so therefore you looked at it and said, well, I don't know if Louisiana can create the stability that we're looking for to continue building and investing in that state. So it took a long while for us to really curve that PR and really curve that messaging around it. And we really built ourselves back up again because in 2022, after COVID, we had a massive surplus of activity. We had our largest year. And so right now we're looking to continue obviously pushing that through. So right now what we're doing in the state legislature is a good thing. We're trying to actually generate more business for the state of Louisiana. We are actually on the side of the governor to say we want more big business here. We want more advantages for businesses to come here. Mm-hmm. But we can't necessarily undercut the ones that are doing great business. The film industry works. We're in the top 5 in the United States, and we want to continue doing that. And by creating a good business environment, we only feel like it's going to enhance it. And so that's what we're working with legislation right now to make sure that we can both be beneficial to the state and the film industry moving forward.
So what's the status right now? Is it still part of the bill? Is it still, where are we with it in the process?
So as of yesterday, we had an amendment that came on that allowed us to have a $125 million program. So basically we took $25 million off of the applications off the front. Mm-hmm. So we took a little bit of a haircut there, but we allowed for obviously the state to deal with their financial woes and figuring out how to balance the budget moving forward if we're going to deal with corporate and franchise and all the other taxes that are there. So what we've done is we've created a good deal. We've worked with all the legislative bodies to put in place that we can continue our program moving forward by getting up just a smaller amount of money so that we can help the state move forward. So we're excited about that. We're going to continue working with them. We're not through. That has to go into the House floor for a vote. Looks like that might happen tomorrow. The Senate floor for a vote, which looks like that might happen tomorrow. And then the House would have to concurrence on that following either that afternoon or that day. So we're looking by the end of the week, we're going to have an idea of where we're going to stand, but we're in a good place right now, and we're really appreciative of everybody working with us on behalf of film to continue this moving forward.
And so much better news than was the beginning of the week. I mean, it's amazing how quickly things are moving over there. But I mean, it was legitimate concern that we were going to mess this thing up again. And just for reference, Jason, how many people in the state of Louisiana are employed in the movie and TV business?
So there are 10,000 people on average every year that are employed with a full-time equivalency in the state of Louisiana. And so there's a really interesting stat that came through. We've been doing a lot of research, and mycastingfile.com is a file, and is a database that was created by a New Orleans resident. And what he did is he began this, and it became a nationwide database for you to find extra and acting work. And he pulled a number for us. He pulled that there are 89,960 people in the state of Louisiana registered in mycastingfile.com looking for extra and acting work. That means almost 90,000 people are looking for work in the film industry in the state of Louisiana. And therefore, you can imagine all of those people are impacted by their families. A lot of those people are elders and people between jobs looking for additional income to supplement. And so it's a massive benefit, not only to full-time work, but for part-time work, and for people that are excited to have an opportunity to really get out there and do some things in the community, as well as obviously tell great stories in what we're creating here in the state of Louisiana.
Well, and it's not just the on-screen, it's not just the actors, it's all the people that make up the credits at the end of the film. I mean, it's all the STEM and digital jobs that go into this as well.
I mean, people don't realize it. I mean, you only see what is produced, on your television and on the movie screen. But, there are hundreds of people in a beehive of activity every day creating films. And you're right, it's construction workers, it's painters, it's digital graphic artists, it's administration, it's accounting, it's, cameramen, it's electricians. It's just a multitude of people, and it's always an eclectic environment for each and every new film. I mean, we did Deepwater Horizon, was one of the first movies we did at my studio way back in 2014. And there was at the time, the oil industry was really kind of hitting a big dip. And they needed to find oil workers to come and work to build a replica of the Deepwater Horizon oil set. They hired 75 oil workers off of rigs that had just been laid off and put them to work for 3 months to come out there and build these sets. It's those types of stories, it's those types of things that are happening within this industry, and we obviously want to see it grow, and we hope to continue doing that with the partnership with the state.
He is Jason Waggenspack with Film Louisiana. Man, I'm glad to hear the news is a little bit better at this point than it was, let's say, a week ago. Can we get you on for follow-up? Once the session's over with, we have a clearer picture of how this thing crosses the finish line.
Yeah, happy to talk with you, Brian. Always happy to be on the show, and we should have more news by the end of the week. I think they're going to try and end. We're hearing maybe Friday or Saturday, but it is scheduled to the 25th, so let's just pay attention, and happy to jump on as soon as it all is all over with.
Always appreciate the time. Great stuff. He's Jason Waggenspack with Ranch Studios and Film Louisiana. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. 849 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got 1 minute until Your Money Now comes up. I wanted to save that last minute to address something that that the governor's office put out a graphic yesterday. It's a fantastic graphic talking about the job that's getting done. On the top of it, it says, "Why are we here? To fix Louisiana." And it shows a handful of states. It shows South Dakota, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, and Nevada. And it shows what their sales tax rates are, and it shows what their income tax rates are, both personal and corporate income tax. And it shows what our tax burden is going to be, or what it is right now, versus what it could be after the session is over with. And I couldn't help but notice that of the 6 states that we're compared to, South Dakota, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, and Nevada, 4 of the 6 also have film tax credits. So there's no reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one. Here comes Your Money Now. Florida and South Dakota do not have film tax incentives. Yeah. Can you imagine if they did?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely. Shit. It's still not charged?
No, now my battery's running low and I'm going to run out of juice. I'm just going to shut it down for now. Wait, why didn't you run the Your Money Now spot? Put it in queue? That should never, ever happen. I don't understand. Okay. Right. Garrett and Jason both featured today. Do we have 3 features today? Yeah, I know, but that puts a lot of work on you when I'm kicking you out of the studio. By the way, y'all, I'm going to have to bail right at 9 o'clock. I got back-to-back interviews coming up, and then we got some commercials to record. And I got to do a spec spot that I haven't done any background work on yet, and I don't have a laptop to do background work anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, but it should be good. I mean, got producer meeting at 10. So yeah, I can always do any editing after or whatever.
All right.
So featured will be
Veneeth Iyengar.
oh Veneeth.
Yeah.
Veneeth, Garrett, and Jason.
Jason, yeah. Ooh-wee. Ew. Ooh. Oh. I got to interview this guy, Titus O'Neil, former pro wrestler.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about.
He wrote the book Wrestling with Fatherhood, My Championship Journey to My Greatest Title, Dad. So part of the reason I booked the interview is because he played football for Florida, and I just wanted to talk trash, and that's not working out now, is it?
Oh.
I know.
Is that who you're interviewing today?
Yeah. .855 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Been a busy show today and been all over the place. Thanks again to Jason Waggenspack for hopping on board. Thanks to Baton Rouge General and Exxon Mobil for hopping in earlier this hour. Of course, Congressman Graves was awesome. Veneeth Iyengar and attorney Franz Borgardt was in the first hour for Legally Served. I mean, if you missed anything at all, it'll be available on demand at talk1073.com on the Mornings with Brian Haldane page. Hey, before we get you to the outside in, can I remind you, Talk 1073 and Citizens Bank and Trust are bringing you the ultimate holiday gift with our Home for the Holiday sweepstakes. Imagine 2025 with your rent or mortgage covered for up to $18,000. We are here to make your holidays a whole lot brighter. Just sign up at talk1073.com, and you could be living stress-free next year. The winner will be notified on December 20th. All right. Every day, we like to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish, check in on some headlines from surrounding parishes or throughout the state. We call it the Outside In. Let's roll. Starting off in Livingston Parish, a 13-year-old was arrested for menacing after a threat to a school, according to the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. They said the incident took place at Jubin Park Junior High School. 13-year-old girl was arrested as a result. Obviously, names not released because of the age of the accused. Heading over to St. Tammany Parish, District Attorney Colin Sims announced that 35-year-old Heather Long was indicted by a St. Tammany Parish grand jury for embezzling more than $25,000 from Lake Castle Madisonville Private School Booster Club. According to the DA, the Covington woman is accused of stealing the funds from a bank account held by the Madisonville School Booster Club between May of 2022 and February of 2024. Next stop, Vermilion Parish. Man's in custody after leading multiple police agencies on a chase in a stolen tractor. Chase with a tractor. According to Sheriff Eddie Langlanay, the Vermilion Parish Sheriff's Office received a report of a stolen tractor near the Woodlawn Bridge on Highway 82 in the Youngsville area. The tractor then traveled on Woodlawn Road to Bork Road near Highway 92, where an officer from the Maurice Police Department attempted a traffic stop on it. The driver of the tractor, identified now as 47-year-old Mark Ardwan, has been booked in the Lafayette Parish Jail. He's being transferred to the Vermilion Parish Correctional Center after leading police on a chase in a tractor. Closing out Lincoln Parish. Buc-ee's planned opening of their Louisiana Travel Center in Ruston has been postponed as the city awaits final approval on their I-20 interchange modification plan to accommodate the project. Yes, Buc-ee's so big you have to redo the interstate. Buc-ee's opening now will likely be June of 2026 rather than the previous target of December of 2025. That is all for the Outside In, and that's just about all for us. Tomorrow on the show, I can tell you right now, we got Crime Stoppers coming your way. I believe we're checking in with the folks from ICARE for Crime Stoppers. I'm not 100% sure about that. I can also tell you on the show tomorrow, State Representative Dixon McMakin slated to join us, and from Fox Sports, NFL play-by-play announcer Chris Myers is on the rundown for tomorrow as well. But that's not coming up until tomorrow. Of course, we will have all the latest on the legislative session as it continues to move along and move along quickly at that. We'll be bringing it to you. Looking ahead beyond tomorrow. You know what? I don't even have Foodie Friday slated yet. So, we're going to get that knocked out. It's the last Friday before Thanksgiving. It better be a good one, right? I just don't know how to regroup after last Friday and the Friday before. Like, we've been on a run, John. We've been on a really good run.
Really good.
Yeah. I mean, we had Chicken Shack last Friday. We had Mommy's Meat Pies the Friday before. It's, we set the bar. Yes. All right, Moon's next. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Oh, Danica McKellar. That's who I was supposed to tease. Danica McKellar. Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow later on.